Pull up that easy chair and sit right down for the best music in your town. On
the next Way Back Country Jamboree, coming up next on CFRC.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Horseshoe with Stompin' Tom Connors.
Heave high, oh, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Big Joe Mufferaw paddled in the Mattawa all the way from Ottawa in just one day. Big size French fries, how they love tomatoes. So dress them up with Heinz ketchup, ketchup loves potatoes. But the spud from the bright red mud, rolling down the highway smiling. The spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig, they're from Prince Edward Island.
Howdy friends and listeners of the Way Back Country Jamboree. This here is your old host with the most, country western music, Johnny Woodlock. And for the next 3 hours, I'd like to welcome you all in to a 3-hour celebration to what would have marked the 89th birthday of one of the greatest and proudest people in Canadian history, Stompin' Tom Connors, forever remembered as the true king of Canadian country music. So sit back, relax as we take you down memory lane back to Prince Edward Island and Old Skinner's Pond with some of Tom's dearest friends on today's Way Back Country Jamboree. Welcome in, friends, and may God bless Canada.
Came tumbling down, and 19 men were drowned, and the medical corps couldn't be too sore of the rest of the men they found. Buckos swore, if it gets a little chilly, you can close the door. Tilsonburg. It was Tilsonburg. My back still aches when I hear that word. You've heard my answer. It's one I hope you'll understand. It's just my way of kind of saying thank you to the people of this land. And it doesn't matter really where you're from, you can spread the word around. Wherever you find a heart that's kind, you're in a part of my stomping ground.
Well, really, it's Canada that still has the stories that should be told, and lots of them, for now and for always.
Good morning, friends and listeners of the Way Back Country Jamboree, coming to you via the Woodlock Ranch and Studios, located in Cornwall, Ontario. We are also being carried and aired over historic CFRC 101.9 FM from the heart of downtown Kingston, Ontario, the limestone city of Canada. As I welcome you all into the program this morning, I would like to share that this is the 9th of February in the year 2025. That means that 89 long years ago, today in St. John's, New Brunswick, one of Canada's most dedicated and loyal patriots was born. Yes, the year was 1936 that Thomas Charles Connors was born to Isabel Connors and Thomas Joseph Sullivan. However, his father would disown the family before Tom was born, so the stories go. Isabel, therefore, was a single mother at the time, during a time when it was frowned upon to be a single mother. After being taken away by the law from his mother, he was forced to live in Skinner's Pond, Prince Edward Island, where today there is a center to him, but with that, we'll have more about that later on in the show. However, I do understand that now the man that we know as Stompin' Tom Connors wouldn't, however, be called Stompin' Tom till Canada Day in 1964, while at the Horseshoe Tavern on Yonge Street in Toronto, Ontario. With that, so began the story of the man, the myth, the legend that I'll be remembering today, Stompin' Tom Connors, and who I have always classed as the true king of Canadian country music. Stompin' Tom would gain great fame here at home in his beloved Canada until his passing in 2013 on March 6th at the young age of 77. Today he is remembered mostly for his historical story songs and the songs he wrote about the people and the land he loved the most, that was Canada. In many ways, he taught us all to be a proud Canadian. So with that, let's open up today's program with none other than a man we knew out of the Ottawa Valley that wrote a song about Tom many years ago titled The Ballad of Stompin' Tom and sung today by Freddie Dixon. And then we'll follow with Stompin' Tom Connors and a song which to me is one of the most patriotic songs he ever wrote, titled Believe in Your Country. And yes, if you haven't guessed it already, today will be a patriotic Sunday morning here at the Way Back Country Jamboree on CFRC 101.9 FM. With that, I'd like to say happy birthday to the late great Stompin' Tom Connors.
Now here's a story that I'd like to tell about a poor country boy that sure done well. Never once did his hat band swell, and that man is Stompin' Tom Connors. Well, he left his home at the age of 13, a tall, lanky kid like a long string bean. Holes in his pockets and holes in his socks, took on the job at the waterfront docks. Now, Tom wasn't much to staying around or settling down any one town, 'cause the whole of Canada was his stomping ground, and by golly, he wanted to see it. With his buddy Steve Foot and his guitar in hand, he thumbed his way across this land, riding the rails and hitching them trucks, living kind of lean on a lot of good luck. Then one day, back in '64, he got stuck in Timmins with the wolf at his door. Stopped at the Maple Leaf for 3 or 4. Had 35 cents, but needed 5 cents more. Well, the barman looked Tom's guitar, and he could tell by their looks they traveled far. Said with a smile, I set the beer in the bar, "You play me a couple of songs." Well, the boss, he liked what Tom was singing, and the people and money that Tom was bringing. And Tom stayed on and on and on, not bad for a country singer. With a stomping board, played them all, from the Horseshoe Tavern down to Massey Hall. And he might be coming your way this fall, and I sure hope that you don't miss him. So when you're driving or listening to your radio, you hear songs like Bud the Spud or Mufferaw Joe. The songs about Canada, and they're on the go, and they're sung by Stompin' Tom Connors. So I wish him well, and I wish him the best, for he's paid his dues more times than the rest. He's a hell of a man, he stood the test. He's my good friend, Stompin' Tom Connors. So I wish him well, I wish him the best, for he's paid his dues more times than the rest. He's a hell of a man, he stood the test. He's my good friend, Stompin' Tom Connors. Tom Connors, Tom Connors, Tom Connors, Tom Connors.
With a guitar under one arm and a stompin' board under the other, here's Stompin' Tom Connors.
Goodbye, Jim and Jackie. Goodbye, John and May. We hate to see you leaving, bound for the USA. But if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. I know the times are changing, factories closing down, but if you stay and help us, we can turn these things around. But if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. And while our politicians divide our precious land, we speak in French and English, but they still don't understand. If you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. In a land that's short on heroes, they trade our jobs away. And we don't need no zeros to come and help us save the day. So if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. And if you should find your heaven where stars and stripes are flown, you'll learn to stand more proudly than you ever stood back home. And they'll tell you that your country must come before yourself, or you'll have to serve your country by living somewhere else. So goodbye Jim and Jackie, goodbye John and May. We hope that you'll be happy living in the USA. 'Cause if you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else. If you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you can better serve your country by living somewhere else.
I only wish that we as a country were not as exploited the way we are. Canada's for the Canadians, and not just the Canadians that are living in it today, but all the Canadians throughout the years, the unborn Canadians. What will those Canadians think of Canada in their day? Will they be thankful to us, or will they just say that we're a bunch of stupid, egotistical idiots? What will they say about us?
Following those classic opening songs, we're back here on the Way Back Country Jamboree. It's once again time to welcome y'all back into the Way Back Country Jamboree morning show here this morning as we celebrate the 89th birthday of none other than Canada's King of Country Music, yes, Stompin' Tom Connors. As we begin again and get the show kicked off for another start, we would like to send out a song to my beloved Mama Dawn and her companion, my stepfather, Big Daddy Owl. For them today, it'll be one of the earliest influences of Tom Connors, none other than Wilf Carter, the father of Canadian country music. From Wilf will be a classic titled A Little Old Shack I Always Call My Home. Then we'll follow with an early classic from the RCA label of Montreal by none other than Hank Snow, another one of the early childhood influences of Tom Connors, but whom treated Tom terribly whenever they met. And from Hank it'll be a song going out in loving memory of my late Granny Marg, who was one of the first people who ever introduced me to country music, along with my father, but it's going to be a song that was called Down at the Rainbow's End. Then we'll follow with a song after that, which is one of the earliest known recordings by Stompin' Tom Connors, long before he was known as Stompin' Tom. And from 1965, it'll be off an old record that my dear friend John Arsenault and his wife Kathy supplied me with, and it's going to be Fire in the Mine, about the old mining accident up in Timmins many years ago back in the 60s. With that, I would like to welcome you all into the Way Back Country Jamboree and say good morning to everybody listening in.
There's a spot out on the prairie where the coyotes love to roam. Around my little old log shack I always call my home. How I love to sit and listen while they howl at the yellow moon. Around my little old log shack I always call my home. My shack's my only fortune, I'm as happy as you are, as I sing and yodel and strum my old guitar. The meadowlarks are singing out where the cattle roam. Around my little old log shack I always call my home. Where the coyotes howl the lonesome melody as I wander around my little home. Oh, the moon shining bright on my little old shack tonight, on my little old log shanty on my clay. Years ago I had a sweetheart, the joy of my life. One night I asked her best I could if she would be my wife. We'd have the sweetest honeymoon where we could be alone. In that little old log shack I could always call my home. Next night we goes riding out to our home to be. She said she was never happy unless she was alone with me. But when she saw my paradise, she seemed to take a fright, and all at once she gave a scream, I can never be your wife. You haven't got no electric light, you'll have to live alone. Is this the little old log shack you always call our home? I never seen her since that night she gave me back the ring. When she left I throwed the thing away and started in to sing. You've never hurt my feelings when you left me and my home, for I'm a happy cowboy out where the dogies roam. At night I lie and listen to the coyotes' mingle tone. Around my little old log shack I always call my home. Where the coyotes howl is a lonesome melody as I wander around my little home. Oh, the moon's shining bright on my little old shack tonight, on my little old log shanty on my clay. My shack's my only fortune, I'm as happy as you are, as I sing and yodel and strum my old guitar. The meadowlarks are singing out where the cattle roam. Around my little old log shack I always call my home. Where the coyotes howl is a lonesome melody as I wander around my little home. Oh, the moon's shining bright on my little old shack tonight, on my little old log shanty on my clay.
Down deep in the valley of unbroken dreams, my trail to the heaven did wend. For I knew that the treasure I cherished was there, waiting down by the rainbow's end. I dreamed that the trail was all silver and gold that led down to the rainbow's end. I was carefree and gay as I trudged on my way, heading down to the rainbow's end, heading down to the rainbow's end. As I traveled alone down that bright narrow way, drawing close to the rainbow's end, I heard someone call in a voice soft and low, and it came from the rainbow's end. Old pals that had left me to cross the divide were all down by the rainbow's end. In that beautiful home I saw God on his throne. I had come to the rainbow's end. Then in the bright heaven an angel appeared as I stood at the rainbow's end. All sorrow had passed, I had found her at last in my dream of the rainbow's end, in my dream of the rainbow's end. Oh, da-dee, oh, da-dee, oh, da-dee, da-dee. There was grief among the people of that northern Timmins town when someone hollered fire, the mine is burning down. Then rushing to the surface came those McIntyre men to make ready and prepare to let the firefighters in. There's a fire way down in the mine. It was February 2nd in the year of 65. A miner's life was taken in the carbon monoxide. The gas had been created way down a mile or so in the McIntyre hellfire 6,000 feet below. There's a fire way down in the mine. The call went through the Northland for men to fight the flame, from Sudbury and Toronto and from everywhere they came. With oxygen and gas masks they worked for a month of days In 150 degrees of heat, they fought that gassy blaze. There's a fire way down in the mine. The deadly gas kept rising in the McIntyre High, till it seeped through the walls and fire doors to the Hollinger mine nearby. For nearly 1,000 miners now, there was no work below. The word came from the office, we have to let you go. There's a fire way down in the mine. With their smiles of hope now faded, many faces wore a frown. Must we see our children hungry? Must we have to leave the town? Will they have to close the mines up, bringing trouble, strife, and woe? Or will they beat that gassy hellfire 6,000 feet below? There's a fire way down in the mine. Then at last it was all over, they had sealed the fire in. As it died, they called the miners slowly back to work again. Some may say that it was nothing, and the world may pass it by, but the people up in Timmins will always hear that awful cry. There's a fire way down in the mine. There's a fire way down in the mine. There's a fire way down in the mine. There's a fire way.
I'm just singing Newfoundlander and I sing a happy song.
Hello friends, this is Michael T. Wall, the singing Newfoundlander, and you are listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock right here on Way Back Country Jamboree over CFRC 101.9 Kingston, Ontario, Canada.
And are singing Newfoundlander from the Isle of Newfoundland.
Now friends, with this being a tribute to the 89th birthday of Canada's country music pioneer and king, Stompin' Tom Connors, we would usually present the Ottawa Valley trip right now, but with that mentioned, it's going to be a little bit different today, with mostly all the music being associated or performed by Stompin' Tom himself. With that shared, I would like to replace the segment we usually do to the Ottawa Valley with saluting and remembering Stompin' Tom's first released album. In 1969 it came out and was called The Northlands Owned. With that said, this is the only album where Stompin' Tom is not seen in his all-time famous black hat. So let's remember 3 original songs that appeared on this album, which also are going out to my dear friend Uncle Ray and Aunt Margaret Chwisky today, up there in Eganville, Ontario. Now I got this album many years ago from Uncle Ray in a collection of albums that he gave me. So with that said, let's remember 3 classics off this LP record. The original record, Uncle Ray, that you gave me all those years ago. With that, it's going to be a classic called The Northern Gentleman. Then we'll follow with another rare one titled Emily the Maple Leaf, and we'll wrap up this set of early songs with an early story song by Stompin' Tom called Little Wawa. Now this here will show that even though he was just breaking into the music world and the music field, he was writing some of the songs he would be beloved for, especially those story songs. With that, here's from the original album from 1969 with all its surface noise, these classics. Welcome in, friends.
Here's to the northern gentleman who brought the Northland fame. Through the boundless snow where none dare go, the northern gentleman came. He trapped the beaver and the northern fox and the great white polar bear, and the Yellowstone he found alone had a gleam beyond compare. Here's to the northern gentleman who named the northern towns, where a husky sleigh was the only way the north gent made his rounds. He called the Yukon, Yukon, and the Great Bay, Hudson Bay. From Dawson down to Timmins down, the north gent made his way. The northern gentleman who crossed the northern plain, he's the gent whose life was spent to bring the Northland fame. Here's to the northern gentleman who braves the winter through. He's still a trekking north Quebec and Kappa's casing too. He's a miner and a lumberjack, he's a driller on a diamond drill. He drives a crane and he stakes a claim and he works at the old pulp mill. Here's to the northern gentleman who wears a big mackinaw. He might say how with an Indian bow, or he might say comment ça va? So here's to the northern gentleman, no matter what be his name. He's the gent whose life was spent to bring the Northland fame. The northern gentleman who crossed the northern plain. He's the gent whose life was spent to bring the Northland fame. He is the gent whose life was spent to bring this Northland fame. Emily the maple leaf lived with her family high upon the maple tree. Her sisters and her brother leaves and all of the other leaves used to laugh at Emily. Everything that they said used to turn her face red, just as red can be. But even when she felt bad, she would never look sad. She took it all so cheerfully. Then one day the leaves all say Emily was taken far away. She was picked while playing tag, and she was put on Canada's flag. Emily the maple leaf never now could prouder be, waving o'er the nation wide. Just to see her when she flips on the masts of mighty ships, Emily will stir your pride. All of us, we love her, there is none above her, blowing in the breeze so free. Her sisters and her brother leaves, and all of the other leaves, we shout forever Emily. She's our way to live each day in city style or country way. From the valleys green to the mountains crag, here's to Emily, Canada's flag. Emily the maple leaf stands for the harmony we share alike from sea to sea. For this our fathers sighed for, lived and loved and died for, and we'll preserve it constantly. Where leaves are bound together, we're Emily's forever, we're all for one with each for all. Our sisters and our brother leaves, and all of the other leaves, will never let the red leaf fall. Here we stand, all hand in hand, O Canada, we're at your command. So let not one be found to lag, where Emily waves on Canada's flag. Little wah wah, little wah wah. Little wah wah was a wild goose who from the Southland flew in a V-shaped flock of wild geese with her lover gander goo, her lover gander goo. They flew across North Michigan to see the sights below, 'cause they were on their honeymoon to North Ontario, to North Ontario. Honk honk, said little wah wah, honk honk, my gander goo. In goose talk that means I love you, and I always will be true, I always will be true. Little wah wah, little wah wah. The night was fast approaching, a dreadful hissing sound. 'Twas an arrow from an Indian bow, and Gander Goo shot down, Gander Goo fell down. The wild geese kept on flying, but Wah Wah would not go. She stayed to find her lover in the bushland far below, in the bushland far below. Honk, honk, said little wah-wah, honk, honk, my gander goo. In goose talk, that means I love you, and I always will be true. I always will be true. Little wah-wah, little wah-wah. A goose that died of heartbreak, a legend she became, but now she'll live forever in a town that bears her name, a town that bears her name. If you should see her statue on Highway 17, you'll know that you're in Wawa, and her love song you will sing, her love song you will sing. Honk, honk, said little wah-wah, honk, honk, my gander goo. In goose talk, that means I love you, and I always will be true, I always will be true. Little wah-wah, little wah-wah, little wah-wah.
This Autobahn valley of mine.
Hello out there in Radio Land. This is Ray Chapeski near Eganville, Ontario, on the shores of the Bon Cher River, and you are listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock. Good interviews and good traditional country music, so stay tuned.
When we drive the big rafts down the Ottawa River in this good old valley of mine.
Now, friends, I would like to welcome to the Way Back Country Jamboree our first of three special guests of honor on the Way Back Country Jamboree's 89th celebration to the birth of Stompin' Tom Connors, one of his friends and band members, Duncan Frimlin, of the legendary band that backed Tom and Tommy Hunter and so many more over the years, Whiskey Jack. With that shared, this will be about a 13 to 14 minute interview. Following this, we will hear a song that the band Whiskey Jack redone of Stompin' Tom's titled Let's Smile Again. I would like to just make mention that during this interview that's been pre-taped, there is some off-color wording, so I do apologize for that, but I do hope y'all enjoy this interview nonetheless with a dear friend of mine who has been no stranger to our Stompin' Tom tributes, none other than Duncan Frimlin of Whiskey Jack. Good morning, Duncan.
Good morning, Johnny. Good morning.
Yes.
In the Tom world, I think your call is very timely, Johnny.
I think so.
It is timely because the protester is needed right now. We've got a gangster south of the border who's threatening to force us to become the 51st state, and nothing has offended my sensibilities more in the last many years than that idea. The whole idea of that, I'm sure, would make Tom roll over in his grave.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, he would.
Yeah. So he wrote a song back in 1990. I think he wrote it in 91, but he released it in 92. And it's called Believe in Your Country. You know the song well.
Yes, we do.
If you don't believe your country should come before yourself, you better serve your country by living somewhere else. That was in 1992 when he was pissed off about free trade and the Meech Lake, but mostly the free trade thing, which he thought was Mulrooney selling out to the country. And in hindsight, I'd say he was right. So I've taken that song, and from now on, most of the Whiskey Jack shows we do in 2025 are going to be protest shows. And we're going to have a segment in the show where we're going to talk about that song. And also, I've rewritten some of the lyrics to speak to the issue that's on the table today, you know, the 51st state issue.
Yes.
So I've taken the song, I've just modernized it a bit, and now we're going to sing that song at all of our shows in 2025.
Great.
And also, Johnny, it's going to speak to traders, to turncoats in the United States who made their life here, who we gave them everything that they have in life, and they go down to the States and they give us the finger. I'm talking about Bobby Orr and Wayne Gretzky. Both of them have embraced the gangster down south, and so I have a verse in there that I sing about those two as well. I'll tell you, I've never been more those two hockey players. They can just disappear as far as I can.
So let's go back to when and how you met Tom, first of all.
Well, it was when in 1990 when coming back from his 13-year vacation from the music business. We all know the famous 13 years he took off to protest the Americanization of the Canadian music. I mean, the tone, the theme here is not lost on any of us. That he saw the influence that the Americans were going to have on our life up here. He saw the threat to our sovereignty that most Canadians didn't see. Even today, some Canadians don't recognize it.
They're blind to it, it seems. Yes,
they're blind to it. That's right. They're too busy looking at their damn phones. He, as we all know, he took 13 years off, and then when he came back, the promoter needed a tour manager, someone with experience, somebody to oversee cross-country 75-city tour. And I was approached. I already had a job. I was selling real estate in Toronto, but I thought, well, geez, this is an opportunity I can't pass up. So I took some time off my work, and I hit the road, and I got to know Tom pretty well in 1990. And then a year or two later, when he was looking for a banjo player to play on his new CD, he called me and said, I know you from the Tommy Hunter show. I saw you and Whiskey Jack play on the Tommy Hunter show back in the early 80s, and I know you from the tour that we just did, so would you play banjo on my next few CDs, and would Whiskey Jack record with me and go on the road with me? And I said, you bet. That's how it happened.
And the rest is history. Exactly. Yes, for sure.
Pretty much.
For sure. So tell us a little bit about Stompin' Tom, the man that you knew.
The first thing I always think of when I think of Tom is what a highly principled person he was. He placed his values, his principles above anything else. That 13-year break from the business, Johnny, that cost him millions of dollars on principle. Who is there today in the public field that would compromise millions of dollars on principle? I can't think of
nobody. That's who. Nobody.
Some would look at that and go, well, Tom was stupid to do that. But I look at it as though he's the
patriot that we need. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I just have so much respect for that. I couldn't begin to emulate the strength and personal fortitude that he had, but I certainly try. I mean, that's my model in life. My model is to have that kind of commitment to my principles. Yes. But I don't know if I do it for millions of dollars like he did.
No, that's true. Yes, for sure. Now, another song I was going to ask you about is, tell us about your experience with recording Canada Day Up Canada Way with Tom.
That was, well, anybody who's on our YouTube channel knows that's the very first song we played with Tom on our 1993 tour at Parliament Hill in front of 500,000 flag-waving Canadians. It was broadcast on the CBC. It was a huge deal. And Tom, very first song we played that night, and then a few minutes later we played the hockey song. But he wrote the song for that moment. He wrote the song for Canada Day on Parliament Hill in front of his country. I mean, that's so you couldn't get more patriotic. It's almost like that's our national anthem. To me, it has more meaning. I saw him sing that song throughout that tour, and he was in tears when he would sing that song.
Is that right?
Come on,
yes,
Johnny. Who?
Not very many.
Exactly.
Even I was thinking about Hank Snow, but even him, and Tom would tell you this himself, he even sold out to the American people.
No, Tom. I don't think Tom
was very fond of Hank. No.
But sure. the one that he really did not like for that reason was Tommy Hunter.
Is that right? Okay, I didn't know that.
He saw Tommy Hunter as
a threat.
It's just kissing Americans' asses. The show spent a fortune bringing up country singers from the United States, and for example, one of the shows we did was with Roy Acuff and his band.
Okay.
And so we're hanging around backstage with Charlie Collins and Roy Acuff and
Oswald.
Brother Oswald. We're hanging around backstage, and I look around and think the CBC in their wisdom at that time had enough money to fly a 6-piece band to Toronto, put them up in a hotel for 2 or 3 nights, bring them in, put them on air, pay them to be on air, and think about how much money that must have to cost.
Exactly.
So, and just be totally
annoyed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Annoyed,
for sure.
disgusted.
For
And
sure.
and so no, I don't think there was much love lost between. I don't think Stompin' Tom was ever on Tommy's show.
Mhm.
Johnny, I don't know for sure, but I think maybe that's the case.
Tell us a little bit about the concert tour that your tribute to Stompin' Tom. It's called
Whiskey Jack Presents Stories and Songs.
That's right.
And so we've been doing this for 10 years. We've toured the East Coast 5 times. We've toured Ontario nonstop for 10 years.
Amazing.
Our audience is getting smaller. We're an older crowd. We're dying off, and we're that's just the hard reality. We're doing fewer of these shows in 2025.
Okay.
But we still do them. I have some booked in Aurelia and Port Stanley, and where else? Hopefully we're going to be in Wingham.
We gotta get you up here in Cornwall sometime.
Well, yeah, we did. We certainly did Brockville last.
Yes,
last
you
fall,
did, and you did
pretty
Kingston
great.
as well last year.
We did Kingston, we did Ottawa, we did Chelsea, Quebec. That was pretty exciting to do that part of. I wish we did more Ottawa Valley shows, I must say. But,
Yes.
Yeah.
You do quite a bit of different variety of Tom's songs and the variation of his style.
As I say, Whiskey Jack has been playing his songs in our show since 1981, I think.
Okay.
So we've explored his catalog extensively.
Yes.
And there are songs we sing that maybe the general public doesn't know about, but when they hear them, they shake their head and ask, did Tom write that? That is an amazing song. So we'd like to introduce the audience not just to the hits, Tilsonburg and Sudbury, we play all of those, but we also throw in a couple of gems that Tom recorded but never had hits with, and so yeah, we mix it up, Tom.
For sure. Now, looking at Stompin' Tom's songs and the songs you performed with him, what were some of his all-time personal favorites of his own?
When we went to the house to do his birthday parties, and he'd call me and we'd go to the house during the winter when he wasn't touring, and I'd bring the band up, and so we'd have a party, a CD release or a barbecue or a birthday party or something.
Yeah.
And there'd be his family and friends, and the room filled with people. And then he'd get up and play with us. And every time he played Bud the Spud, Sudbury Saturday Night, and Tilsonburg.
Oh, is that right?
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are the main essential ones then.
I think so.
I see, yeah.
So.
And so he never really did, I've seen him 4 or 5 times over the years, but he never really did his story songs per se in his concerts.
Well, first of all, they all have 27 verses in there.
Very true.
They're
very
long,
true.
so no, I think you're right. I've never heard him do Martin Hartwell's story, for example, or The Bridge Came Tumbling Down,
or one that's near and dear to me is the Last Fatal Duel, because it was my ancestors that did it.
Well, there you go. So no, because his shows weren't long enough. He didn't have time to do those songs. If he had done different kind of shows, maybe he could have done some of those songs, but no, it wasn't going to happen.
I see. Okay. And so tell us about your newsletter that you've been doing with a man who gave Tom his name.
Yeah, so it's my Substack page.
Yes.
And it's about Gabe Lepine. Gabe Lepine lives in Ottawa. He's 86.
Oh, wow.
He was Tom's best friend for many years. He wrote songs with Tom for many, many years. And, he continues to write songs. He continues to, he and Tom were married at the hip joined at the hip for a long time. They
brothers.
They brothers. They were brothers. They shared the same values. Gate is still out there promoting Canada. Here he is, a French Canadian from remote Quebec, out there waving the flag louder and brighter than anyone else. And he's a very impressive man. And he's recorded lots. He's toured on his own, and he was at Tom's wedding. He sang at Tom's wedding. He was on Tom's TV show. This is an important man in the story of Stompin'
For sure. And was he not the one that said, "Here's Stompin' Tom" back at the Maple Leaf?
He's the one. He was the bartender who received Tom that day. Yes, that's him.
That's what I thought.
Back in 1964, yeah.
So he would have been Stompin' Tom for over 60 years now.
Over 60 years, that's right, man.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah, 40. That's right, 60. Amazing, isn't it? Eh?
It sure is. But you say, I think it was you that in one of my recent interviews that we did, you had mentioned that there's a decade of fans that don't even know who Tom is.
Oh, sure. Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
These are the young kids that weren't raised with this music. It's Tom's not in the news. CBC, it does, the producers that are at the CBC today, most of them are so young, they don't know who Tom is. So, Tom has been out of the news. 10 years is a long time. Most of them don't even know who Ian Tyson is, for crying out loud.
True, or even who we are talking about here today is another one was Tommy Hunter. He was so big in Canadian music, but nobody even knows him anymore. It's sad.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
for sure. So tell us about what you would say to Tom on this being his 89th birthday.
Well, first of all, I'd say, Tom, I'm on a mission to get rid of Robbie Burns Day and insert Stompin' Tom Day. I think we got rid of Robbie Burns, started celebrating, so let's do Stompin' Tom Day. He's like Robbie Burns, great poet, great drinker, great patriot, certainly symbolizes the country just like Robbie Burns did. In fact, I would say Tom's probably a nicer guy than Robbie Burns.
And so in closing today, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, Duncan, and I hope to do it again sometime soon, but
yes, sir.
Would you tell us what song we could play in memory of Tom for you?
Well, the one, it surprises me when we do interviews across the country and the host of the show goes into our catalog to pick a song.
Yes.
Without my help, they invariably pick Smile Again. And we released it on our Whiskey Jack 10 CD and our version. And that's the one they seem to like. If you want to pick a song, it's one that we recorded with Tom in the studio in 1993. And then since then, we recorded our own version. And it's very popular.
Well, that sounds good, Duncan. Yes, for sure. And we'll say happy birthday, heavenly birthday to Stompin' Tom today. Yes.
Let's do that. Okay.
Take care, Duncan. And we'll see you down the road somewhere.
Okay, Johnny, thanks for this.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, let's smile again, for a while again. For a while a smile, it might be in style again. When the style again is to smile again, we might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again. Oh, let's smile again, for a while again. For a while a smile, it might be in style again. When the style again is to smile again, we might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again.
Whatever happened to the friendly smile?
I haven't seen a good one for a while.
Lately, when I'm walking down the street,
people look like they just haven't got a friend to meet. Oh, let's smile again, for a while again. For a while a smile, it might be in style again. When the style again is to smile again, we might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again.
friendly smile.
I haven't seen a good one for a while.
Lately when I hear a funny joke,
people look like they are just about to have a stroke. Oh, let's smile again, for a while again. For a while a smile, it might be in style again. When the style again is to smile again, We might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again. We might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again. We might learn to sing a song. Happy birthday to you. We might learn to sing a song. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. We might learn to sing a song. God save our new king. We might learn to sing a song of love and laugh again. Oh, let's smile again.
Well, I do hope y'all enjoyed that interview with our dear friend and Stompin' Tom band member, Duncan Frimlin of Whiskey Jack. As we welcome y'all back in, it's once again time to turn back the years to the golden age of vinyl records. But first, we must open the vinyl vault door here on what we like to call the Vinyl Blast from Vinyl Past. Now that the Vinyl Vault door is wide open, let's remember a song that may not be all that suitable or appropriate for radio airplay, but was a song that Stompin' Tom performed on the road, Muck Tuck Annie. Now, I often remember Tom, when I seen him about 4 or 5 times over the years, often introducing this song as a song about an old girlfriend he once had. So with that, we'll play this classic in all good nature, and also send it out to a lot of people that requested I play it on today's 89th birthday celebration. Here is, once again, the Ballad of Muck Tuck Annie.
Yeah, let me tell you the story about Muck Tuck Annie, who came south to go to school. With a see-through blouse and sealskin mini, old Annie sure looked cool. She blew into Montreal in the early fall like nothing they'd ever seen. With long black hair and reindeer underwear, she weighed about 216. She came a long, long way from Frobisher Bay. People, don't you know now what I mean? She had the boys all crying on the distant early warning line. Old Muck Tuck Annie could really make the scene. Well, she told her teacher that she wanted to dance, said she wanted to study ballet, but she was 4'6" with her mucklucks off, and I heard her teacher say, "Now I ain't saying, Annie, that you can't dance, no, I wouldn't want to tell you that. But I got a form here signed in triplicate, says you got to learn to drive a cat." She says, "I don't want to learn to cook or sew, build boats, or drive no cat, 'cause I came south to learn to sing and dance and groovy like that. 'Cause I was Miss Baffin Island Beauty Queen for 1974, and I spent a whole weekend in Grease Fjord with the boys beating down my door." She came a long, long way from Frobisher Bay. People, don't you know now what I mean? She had the boys all crying on the distant early warning line. Old Muck Tuck Annie could really make the scene. Well, she said, "Thank you for your trouble, sir, but I'll make it on my own." And the word spread through the north like wildfire, Big Annie's coming home. She got off of the plane with a record player, ballet slippers on her toes, and she opened up a little groovy club where everybody comes and goes. She got old Stompin' Tom on the record player, and she serves good booze and grub. And the folks around Baffin Island figure it's better than any old Playboy club. You can drink tea, beer, and antifreeze till you fall right off of your feet. And there's seal flippers and potato chips when you feel like something to eat. She come a long, long way from Frobisher Bay. People, don't you know now what I mean? She had the boys all crying on the distant early warning line. Old Muck Tuck Annie could really make the scene. Well, she packs that joint almost every night, and folks come from miles around. And every night about 10 o'clock, all the house lights are turned way down. And suddenly, she's on the stage wearing that toothless grin. Short, fat Annie, the goddess of love, and she's gonna do her dance of sin. Well, she jumps and shouts and huffs and puffs and does a little bump and grind. And all she's wearing is them ptarmigan feathers scotch taped to her behind. Well, she made about $100,000 last year, which wasn't too bad at all, and decided to take a little holiday, so she flew down to Montreal. It seems she ran into her teacher there, you know, the one that she met before, and she gave him a job tending the bar and taking tickets at her nightclub door. She come a long, long way from Frobisher Bay. People, don't you know now what I mean? She had the boys all crying on the distant early warning line. Old McDuckenny could really make the scene. Let me tell you now, McDuckenny could really make the scene. Let me tell you now, McDuckenny could really make the scene.
Well, I do hope that didn't offend anyone out there today, and if we're still on the radio now, it's time to send us into the second hour of the Way Back Country Jamboree Morning Show with another more serious side of Stompin' Tom Connors, who, in my opinion, did not record many songs that were one would call gospel related, but in my opinion, there was one among three that I'll play later that was closest to the gospel style music that Stompin' Tom would record. That is off of his Songs of Tragedy album titled The Battle of Despair, which in my opinion is very much in the style of Hank Williams, the singing legend of country music, own Battle of Armageddon. Now, if we do have enough time, we will hear this one by Hank Williams to do the comparison between the two. With that, we'll be back following this on the other side of the 9 o'clock hour. Good morning, friends.
Oh, we know the battle's coming, but the world don't seem to care. But they'll be sorry if this battle is the battle of despair. When people fall a-crying with their faces in the mud, there'll be wailing, there'll be shrieking when the rivers run with blood. When the sun, the moon, the stars go black, we'll know it's Judgment Day. And will the world be willing then to get on its knees and pray? They'll be wishing they had Bibles instead of rifles in their hand, and the fear of God will till the sod in the heart of every man. There'll be nothing but disaster, there'll be gnashing of the teeth, and the heavens will be open to the wicked world beneath. And we'll hear the mighty trumpet sounding off throughout the land. Non-believers will believe it when the hour is at hand. We'll see the blessed Savior with the army that he brings. He's the splendor of the nation, he's the King of all the kings. He will wear the crown of heaven, sitting on the judgment seat, and the battle of Armageddon will be over and complete. Then the bodies upon bodies in a shambles of the earth, they'll be called to life again to find out what their soul is worth. Come all ye who has been faithful to thy God whom you adore, but burn all ye who evil be in hell forevermore. The battle of despair, it may be this one to come. What's to be will have to be, but let us pray the saintful one. Take the Bible, not the rifle, never kill, just bend the knee. And if we lose or win the battle, we'll still live eternally.
There's a mighty battle coming, and it's well now on its way. It'll be fought at Armageddon, it shall be a sad, sad day. In the book of Revelation, words in chapter 16 say, there'll be gathered there great armies for that battle on that day. All the way from the gates of Eden to the battle of Armageddon, there's been trouble and tribulation, there'll be sorrow and despair. He has said, ye not be troubled, for these things shall come to pass. Then your life will be eternal when you dwell with him at last. the pages of your Bible in St. Matthew you will see. Start with chapter 24 and read from 1 to 33. In our Savior's blessed word, he said, on earth he prophesied. Oh, he spoke of this great battle that is coming by and by. All the way from the gates of Eden to the battle of Armageddon, there's been trials and tribulations, there'll be sorrow and despair. He has said ye not be troubled, for these things shall come to pass. Then your life will be eternal when you dwell with him at last. There'll be nation and against nation, there'll be wars and rumors of wars. There'll be great signs in heaven, in the sun, the moon, the stars. Oh, the hearts of men shall fail them, there'll be crashing of the teeth. Those who seek it will receive it, mercy at the Savior's feet. All the way from the gates of Eden to the battle of Armageddon, there's been troubles and tribulations, there'll be sorrow and despair. He has said ye not be troubled, for these things shall come to pass. Then your life will be eternal when you dwell with him at last.
I was born beside that river, that mighty river, that rolling river.
Hello, this is Tom Wilson of Border Bluegrass. You're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on Wayback Country Jamboree on CFRC. Stay tuned for classic country music.
And the St. Lawrence River's my home.
Yes, friends, I do hope y'all enjoyed those classic gospel favorites, and I do also hope that you found the comparisons between Stompin' Tom's Battle of Despair and Hank Williams' Battle of Armageddon. Now, as we welcome y'all back into 9 o'clock hour here this morning, we're still coming to you via the Woodlock Ranch and Studios located in Cornwall, Ontario, where this program is taped weekly. We also can be carried over historic CFRC 101.9 FM from the heart of downtown Kingston, Ontario, the limestone city of Canada. Now, as I welcome y'all back into Wayback Country Jamboree this morning, I'd like to remind y'all, if you are just joining us now, we are celebrating what would have marked the 89th birthday of Charles Thomas Connors, forever remembered as the king of Canadian country music, Stompin' Tom. With that shared, I would like to also open the second hour with a salute to what would have marked Stompin' Tom's 89th birthday with a tribute to the legendary Wilf Carter, who was in many ways not only a mentor and hero to Tom, but became a father figure and personal friend of Tom's over the years. With that, let's remember the man we all remember as the father of Canadian country music, Wilf Carter, with two tributes that Tom recorded to Wilf. First, it'll be the classic Tribute to Wilf Carter, as penned by Stompin' Tom Connors. Then we'll follow with another all-time favorite called Take Me Back to Old Alberta. And this was recorded in 1973 at the Old Horseshoe Tavern on Yonge Street in Toronto, where he also got his name, Stompin' Tom. With that, I'd like to welcome you all into the story of Stompin' Tom on his 89th birthday. Yes, happy birthday to the man, the myth, the legend, who was Canada's greatest patriot, Stompin' Tom Connors.
Hello, friends. This is Stompin' Tom Connors, and I'd like to dedicate this song to that old Alberta cowboy himself, Wilf Carter. Dee-o-dee-dee-dee, dee-o-dee-dee-dee. In the year 1904, upon a cold December morn, in Port Hilford, Nova Scotia, Wilf Carter, he was born. Went to work for the local farmers at a very tender age, till the bush camps of New Brunswick hired Wilf for a better pay. And Wilf began to yodel-dee-dee in the backwoods of NB, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. From the Maritimes to Boston, now the wheat fields of the West, and the plains of old Alberta, they just seemed to suit him best. Punching cows and breaking horses was the life he loved to lead, and you'd always see Wilf Carter at the Calgary Stampede. And Wilf would always yodel-dee-dee on the streets of Calgary, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. When he sang, he played the guitar, telling stories that were true. For the songs he wrote were always about people that he knew. And he took his compositions down to Montreal by train, where he made his first recording and was on his way to fame. And Wilf began to yodel-dee-dee on the radio CBC with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Just a plain and simple cowboy with that old familiar grin. To the USA, Wilf Carter was now Montana Slim. From the hungry hobo jungles to the top recording star. And the people came by thousands when he strummed that old guitar. And Wilf would always yodel-dee-dee in a voice so young and free, with a yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Now the message of my story won't be hard to understand, and I think I speak for every hardcore country music fan. Though the modern record players have replaced the gramophone, I still love to hear Wilf Carter sing and play the cowboy songs. And Wilf can always yodel-dee-dee anytime he wants for me, with his yodel-dee-dee, yodel-dee-dee. Yeah, Wilf can always yodel-dee-dee anytime he wants for me, with his yodel-dee-dee, 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 yodel-dee-dee.
I'm going to send this out to those that are old enough in the crowd to remember the good old yodeling days of my favorite Canadian singer, Wilf Carter. I love the dear old ranges, I love the prairie trail, to watch the cattle grazing and hear the coyotes wail. Swinging in the saddle just before the break of morn, take me back to old Alberta, the place where I was born. Oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, dee-oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, dee-oh-la-lee, oh-la-lee, oh-la-lee. I didn't know I could do it either till I left Skinner's Pond. I hear the bacon frying, sizzling in the pan. Coffee is a-steaming in a big 10-gallon can. Breakfast is already good enough for any man. Take me back to old Alberta, the place where I was born. Oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, dee-oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, oh-la-lee, oh-la-la-lee, dee-oh-la-lee, oh-la-lee. Here's the way Wilf Carter left Nova Scotia, and away out west to Alberta, he taught the cowboys how to do it. And they're still doing it that way yet. Thank you very kindly. That's the way the cowboys do it. Ole, 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 ole.
Well, yes, friends, once again, it's that time in the program to welcome back a very special member of our program, none other than Simbush the Wonder Husky. As we welcome her this morning, I'd like to share a collection of songs that Simbush has picked off the first album that Stompin' Tom released in 1969 called Bud the Spud. Now, this was, of course, released as his second album, but there was always a debate on which album came out first. Of course, we know now today that the first album in 1969 was called Northland's Own, but it was also, in the year 1969, the most beloved and sought-after record album was released by Stompin' Tom that was recorded and called Bud the Spud. Well, anyway, the original album shows a picture of Tom stomping his foot on the piece of plywood while set against the background of PEI Spud potatoes. With that, let's remember Simbush's top picks this morning. We're playing a selection of songs that she's picked off this album. First, we'll hear the title track called Bud the Spud, which is also one of Tom's all-time favorite and most cherished songs. Then we'll follow with a song that was very much requested by several listeners of the program, and that is none other than his all-time signature song titled Sudbury Saturday Night. Then we'll wrap up another all-time favorite off this album, going out to my late father, forever remembered as Papa Willoughby on the program. And for memory of Dad, it'll be a song I know he always loved called the Ketchup Song. With that, here now is my salute to Stompin' Tom and his second album of Bud the Spud.
It's Bud the Spud from the bright red mud, rolling down a highway smiling. The Spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig. They're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. Now from Charlottetown or from Summerside, they load him down for the big long ride. He jumps in the cab and he's off with the pride so big goes. He's got to catch the boat to make Clementine, and he hits up that old New Brunswick line. To Montreal he comes just a-flying with another big load of potatoes. It's Bud the Spud from the bright red mud, rolling down the highway smiling. The Spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig. They're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. Now the Ontario Provincial Police don't think much of Bud. Yeah, the cops have been looking for the son of a gun that's been ripping the tire off the 401. They know the name on the truck shines up in the sun, Green Gables. But he hits Toronto and it's 7 o'clock when he backs her up again the terminal dock, and the boys gather round just to hear him talk about another big load of potatoes. It's Bud the Spud from the bright red mud, rolling down the highway smiling. The Spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig. They're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. Now I know a lot of people from east to west that like the Spuds from the island best, 'cause they'll stand up to the hardest test right on the table. So when you see that big trucker rolling by, wave your hand or kind of wink your eye, 'cause that's Bud the Spud from old PEI with another big load of potatoes. It's Bud the Spud on the bright red mud, rolling down the highway smiling, because he's got another big load of the best doggone potatoes that's ever been growed. And they're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. The girls are out to bingo and the boys are getting stinkle. We think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. The glasses they will tinkle when our eyes begin to twinkle, and we think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night. With Irish Jim O'Connell there and Scotty Jack McDonnell, there's Hunky Frederick Herzl getting tight, but that's alright. There's Happy German Fritzy there with Frenchy getting tipsy, and even Joe the Gypsy knows it's Saturday tonight. Now when Marianne and Mabel come to join us at the table and tell us how the bingo went tonight, we'll look upright. But if they won the money, we'll be laughing at the honey boys, 'cause everything is funny, for it's Saturday tonight. Yeah, the girls are out to bingo and the boys are getting stinkle. We think no more of Inco on a Sudbury Saturday night.
The glasses they will tinkle when our eyes begin to twinkle, and we think no more of Bingo on a Sudbury Saturday night. We borrowed and recuperate tomorrow, 'cause everything is wonderful tonight. We had a good flight, we ate the dilly pickle and we forgot about the nickel, and everybody's tickled for it's Saturday tonight. The songs that we'll be singing, they might be wrong, but they'll be ringing when all the lights of town are shining bright and we're all tight. We'll get to work on Monday, but tomorrow's only Sunday, and we're out to have a fun day for it's Saturday tonight. Yeah, the girls are out the bingo and the boys are getting stinko. We think no more of Bingo on a Sudbury Saturday night. The glasses they will tinkle when our eyes begin to twinkle, and we think no more of Bingo on a Sudbury Saturday night. We think no more of Bingo on a Sudbury Saturday night. A guy from PEI they used to call Potato. He met this young Leamington, Ontario tomato, but he had eyes for other girls and she was a little mushy. So they said, well, let's get wed, there's no sense being fussy. Big size French fries, how they love tomatoes, so dress them up with Heinz ketchup. Ketchup loves potatoes. Ketchup loves potatoes. Well, he went down to Windsor town to buy a ring on Monday. Saturday they said, okay, we'll cut the cake on Sunday. But Sunday came and what a shame, they had no one to fetch it. Without a cake they just sat and ate potato chips and ketchup. Big size French fries, how they love tomatoes, so dress them up with Heinz ketchup. Ketchup loves potatoes. Ketchup loves potatoes. And so this guy from PEI they used to call Potato. He's got 2 boys and a little girl, 2 spuds and 1 tomato. They romp and run around Leamington, and boy, when they get hungry, the bottle drips all over the chips way down in the ketchup country. Big size French fries, how they love tomatoes, so dress them up with Heinz ketchup. Ketchup loves potatoes. Ketchup loves potatoes.
This is Al Briscoe of Steel Guitars of Canada, and you are listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on the Wayback Country Jamboree. Keep stealing, but don't get caught.
Well, yes, friends, jumping a little bit ahead of ourselves in the Wayback Country Jamboree, salute to the 89th birthday of none other than Tom Connor, Stompin' Tom to many out there listening in. There was a CD released in the early 2000s that I loved and always will have a special place for in my heart, because it was the first CD of Tom's music that I ever owned. It was called simply Stompin' Tom Sings Canadian History. It was truly an album or CD full of Canadian historical songs. Now, I'd also like to mention that my late Granny Marg, having seen me raised part-time during the winter in the south of Florida, she sat me down one day and said, listen to this tape of Stompin' Tom's great story songs, because I was always looking for America historical facts. Well, anyway, she said to me more or less that there was great history in our own country of Canada. Well, I would like to say that this is true, and thanks to her and Stompin' Tom's great story songs, I am the proud Canadian that I am today. Let's remember a collection of of these great songs that Tom wrote about the historical facts and stories of our great land of Canada. First, we'll hear the legendary story of the Black Donnelly Massacre up there in Lucan, Ontario. Then we'll follow with the story of the steel bridge out in Vancouver called The Bridge Came Tumbling Down. We'll follow that with Remembering, one of my all-time favorite songs of Stompin' Tom, that is Martin Hartwell's story. We'll wrap up with a song that Tom was almost killed over in 1966, when Tom was warned by several of the public that if he sang this song, he would be beaten up. Well, he did sing that song one night in April 1966 in Kapuskasing, Ontario. It caused a lot of problems for Tom, including almost being killed over this song. With that, I would like to pay tribute to the song titled Resource Crossing Tragedy. Now, there's a lot more details about these songs in the books Tom wrote many years ago, but right now, let's pay tribute to the storyteller that was Tom Connors.
The Black Donnellys ride, their killers by their side, down the Roman line till the end of time. Back in 1840-some, to Lucan, Ontario, a man did come, a man who pushed his weight around, and his wife Johanna could slap the devil down. The 7 sons who fought as well, they opened up wide the gates of hell, and they fired up the land for miles around, the Black Donnellys from Lucan town. With every glance that a Donnelly gave came the sound of shovels digging your grave, and many a club there come a crashing down upon the heads of the men around Lucan town. Down the old Roman line, the further you went, the folks got tougher and meaner bent. And then the Black Donnellys for their abode, they lived away down at the end of the road. The Black Donnellys ride, their killers by their side, down the Roman line till the end of time. Now old Jim Donnelly killed a man one day, and everybody thought that old Jim had run away. But Jim was home and quite concealed in Johanna's old dress where he still plowed the field. But he served his time, so the story goes. He then came back again to cheat his foes. With 7 sons, he robbed and burned, till the whole town knew that old Jim had returned. Now they started up a coach line from Lucan down, with daily trips on into London town. And to destroy their competitors' route, they cut the tongues of all his horses out. Then 18 men with their clubs in their arms, they marched on over to the Donnelly barn. But a Donnelly boy could fight like 10, and they sure put a licking on those 18 men. The Black Donnellys ride, their killers by their side, down the Roman line till the end of time. They poison cattle now by the score, they burn down buildings more and more. They horsewhipped men to make them say that they wouldn't appear in court next day. And every sheriff that the town could find, they met the Black Donnellys and then resigned. For 33 years with their clubs in hand, the Black Donnellys ruled the land. Then there came one man into Lucan town. He was hired to cut all the Donnellys down, a fearless man of a mighty frame, and James Carroll was that man's name. They made him the sheriff and they followed through and formed his secret vigilante crew. In the old swamp schoolhouse in wintertime, they planned their fatal night of crime. The Black Donnellys ride, their killers by their side, down the Roman line till the end of time. In 1880, on that February night, as old Granny had foretold, it was a terrible sight. Old Jim and Johanna and Tom their son and Bridget were slaughtered. They axed everyone. And the 30 drunks left with the house all aflame, hell-bent for more Black Donnelly game. And from out of the fire and into the cold ran that young Connor boy, just 11 years old. Now the gunshots rang, and they ripped into John, and another Black Donnelly brother was gone. And so the Grim Reaper had collected his pay, and the other 3 Donnellys then wandered away. Now the vigilantes, they got away free from the law, but they all died mysteriously. So one word of caution to all who would hate, at the end of your road the Black Donnellys wait. The Black Donnellys ride, their killers by their side, down the Roman line till the end of time. 19 scarlet roses the chaplain spread around in the waters of Burrard Inlet in old Vancouver town, where the bridge came tumbling down. When the bridge came tumbling down, 19 men were drowned in June of 1958 in old Vancouver town. There were 79 men working to build this brand new bridge to span the second narrows and connect up with the ridge till a big wind hit the bridge and the bridge came tumbling down and 19 men were drowned, and the medical corps couldn't be too sure of the rest of the men they found. In among the twisted girders, one man realized how last night he'd been dreaming and saw before his eyes the big wind on the rise, and the bridge came tumbling down and 19 steel men drowned, and he saw the fright of the darkest night in old Vancouver town. With frogmen in the water by the cutting torches glow, they fought to save the steel men from certain death below, and pain we'll never know. When the bridge came tumbling down and 19 men were drowned and 60 more that came ashore, so thankful they were found. It often makes you wonder in strength who has the edge, the longest steel beam structure that spans the highest ridge, or the men that built the bridge. For the bridge came tumbling down and 19 men were drowned, but the other men came back again to lay the new beams down. Now if you're ever crossing this mighty bridge sublime and 19 scarlet roses pass before your mind, remember and be kind. The bridge came tumbling down and 19 men were drowned, so you could ride to the other side of old Vancouver town. So you could ride to the other side of old Vancouver town. Lost up in no man's land of the Northwest Territories, they were lost up in no man's land. The Martin Hartwell story, the Martin Hartwell story. On November the 8th of 72, north of the Arctic Circle, a plane took off from Cambridge Bay and the pilot's name was Hartwell. He had to make it to Yellowknife although the night was storming, to save the lives of an Eskimo boy and a pregnant Eskimo woman. Oh, Mr. Hartwell, said the nurse, I pray that you will guide us to save this woman with her child and the boy with appendicitis. But the wind it blew and the storm it grew and the signal of Contwoyta, they missed by miles and flying wild they crashed beside Lake Hota. Lost up in no man's land of the Northwest Territories, they were lost up in no man's land. The Martin Hartwell story, the Martin Hartwell story. Now Judy Hill, the federal nurse, she never lived to waken, and the life of the mother and her child were both soon after taken. But the pilot woke to find himself and the Eskimo boy were living, left in pain beside the plane to search the skies of heaven. Day by day the pilot lay with both his ankles broken, and it took the lad everything he had to keep the fire stoking, while in the sky too far away the rescue team were seeking a signal wave that might be traced to Hartwell's radio beacon. Lost up in no man's land of the Northwest Territories, they were lost up in no man's land. The Martin Hartwell story, the Martin Hartwell story. After 19 days the aerial search was said to be completed, until someone cried, they're still alive and the search must be repeated. And the day the beep was finally heard is a day we'll all remember. A man was found safe and sound on the 9th day of December. Hartwell said he should have died at 35 below zero, and the reason Hartwell did survive, the boy had died a hero. He brought me food when I couldn't move, while he himself grew feeble. Yes, Davy Kutuk died a saint and a credit to his people. Davy Kutuk died a saint and a credit to his people. Lost up in no man's land of the Northwest Territories. They were lost up in no man's land. The Martin Hartwell story. The Martin Hartwell story. The Martin Hartwell story. Just a little bit west of Kapuskasing, Resore Crossing, that's the name. Farmers hauled from out of the bushland pulpwood for the mill-bound train. 20 farmers met that night to guard their pulp from a union strike, unaware this night would see the Resore Crossing tragedy, the Resore Crossing tragedy. You'll never load that pile of lumber, said the union men when they came. Though they numbered about 500, the 20 farmers took rifle aim. We've got to get our pulpwood out before the Muskeg frost comes out, and may God help us all to see no Resore Crossing tragedy, no Resore Crossing tragedy. You'll never touch this pile of lumber, but they came, and tragically 3 men died that February night in the year of 63. 8 more wounded, some beat up, tires slashed on the lumber trucks. A night of death and destiny, the Resore Crossing tragedy, the Resore Crossing tragedy. You'll never touch this pile of lumber. 7 words that spelled out pain for the widows and their children and their men who died in vain. How can anyone forget the bloodiest labor battle yet in all Canadian history? The Resore Crossing tragedy, the Resore Crossing tragedy. Just a little bit west of Kapuskasing, they erected a sculpture beside the tracks of the bushman and his family who live their lives behind the axe. It reminds us in the north not to bring our tempers forth, that there may never elsewhere be no Resore Crossing tragedy, no Resore Crossing tragedy, no Resore Crossing tragedy.
I see my darling in each ray of summer sunlight.
Hi, I'm Steve Petico of the Ottawa Valley Country Music Hall of Fame, and you're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock with Way Back Country Jamboree.
My heart would cry more than the weeping willow tree if my darling.
Now, friends, as mentioned, we have got 3 special guests of honor on the Way Back Country Jamboree morning show this morning. With that mentioned, this next guest is a true member of the Stompin' Tom legacy through being his dobro player as well as multi-instrumentalist. With that mentioned, it is a true honor to welcome one of the closest people to Stompin' Tom Connors during the last years of his life, Al Whittemire, to our program. Now, following this interview and morning visit with Al, we'll hear a song that he requested that I played by Stompin' Tom, which was off of Tom's final recording session, and it'll be a song titled Rattling Cannonball. So with that, here now is a good friend of mine and a good friend of Stompin' Tom Connors, none other than Al Whittemeyer.
Good morning, Johnny.
Well, it's a pleasure to be talking to you. So let's go back to how you first got acquainted with Stompin' Tom.
Well, of course, I've been a fan for many years, but I recorded on his record label with a bunch of different bands over the years, playing the dobro, playing fiddle and playing dobro.
Okay.
Notably, the Dixie Flyers, also with Dennis LePage and Station Road back in the day. So he knew of me because we recorded on the Dixie Flyer album, Cheaper to Lease, we recorded Roses in the Snow.
Okay, yes, a classic for sure, yes.
And he always liked my dobro playing. So I've had over the years, when Tom came back out of retirement, there was a lot of guys in that band that I knew over the years playing. And, some were like Steve Petrie and Darren Parise.
Okay.
In 2004, I got a call from Darren Parise to come and do some recording with Tom, playing dobro. And I had to refuse it because at the time, I was down in Nashville at the Bluegrass Convention, Spigma Bluegrass Convention. And so I would have had to leave the convention and go because the recording session was the next day.
Oh, wow.
And
okay, yes,
And I said, that's not going to happen. Well, that didn't happen. So in 2005, Darren needed a ride up to meet up with the tour in Stratford. So I said, yeah, I'll take you out. So I drove him out there. And this was 2005. And so I got him to the hotel where they were staying in Stratford, Ontario. And I drove up to the motel, and there was Tom sitting out in front of the room. He liked the whole motels that you can drive up and you can park and you can go right in your room.
For sure.
He liked them kind of rooms, so he can drive, because he used to carry stuff in his truck. He always had a Grand Caravan. It wasn't a Grand Caravan. What the hell was he? Not a Yukon.
Explorer?
No, it was a GMC Suburban. Okay. That's it. Suburban.
Oh, Suburban. Okay, yes.
So he had it. He always had it with his stuff in it. He's got tools and water that he brought from his farm. Where he lived, to bring water with him on the road from home, and then for his tea, because he liked his tea. He liked drinking tea.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's between the Moosehead beer. Or
correct. They would start out with a tea. And, he'd shave, and then, then it'd be Moosehead.
Okay, yes, for sure, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, we got talking at this motel in Stratford. Next thing you know, he says, you want a beer? I said, yeah, okay. So we had a beer, and because I was talking to him about the different band members and boot records, and he knew a guy that Claire Adelman. And I said, well, my dad played with Claire Adelman back in the day, and so it just went from there. We just talked about, we knew people from Bruce County where he spent some time up there in the early days. And there used to be a place up there at the Hepworth Country Music Hall, and you've probably heard that song before.
Yes, I have, for sure, yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's out by Southampton, where he had some really good friends in Southampton, and he'd stay there. He didn't work much, because from what the locals told me, and because I know a bunch of them up there, they said, no, he didn't really work much, but he liked, he played a lot of music. That's why they kept him around.
For entertainment reasons, exactly.
Yeah, but they got to be good friends, and the family still comes down to see the shows when what's going on. So we get talking, and he brought up the thing. He says, I hope the next time I record my next record, you can come and play dobro. You won't be in Nashville, Tennessee. He remembered that, right?
Oh, wow. Okay, yes, for sure.
And he also said at the same time, he said, Al, have you ever thought about going back on the road again? And I said, well, give me a call. Maybe, we'll look at it. And sure enough, I got a call. I got a call in the spring of 2006, and that was the start of my adventure.
Adventure with Tom, exactly, yes. So, you were saying you were recording with Tom. What are some of the songs that you recorded with him?
Well, the last two records would be the Ballad of Stompin' Tom.
And on Roads of Life.
And the Roads of Life. I'm on both them albums.
Okay.
Playing multiple instruments. And then we're singing background with the hockey, because we re-recorded the hockey song.
Yes.
The background singing that, and then of course the Roads of Life, which was the last album. Then he got us to come back in again to re-record the Story of Jesus.
On his Christmas album.
On his Christmas album.
Yes.
So we re-recorded that. He never liked the way that he said it sounded too thin. So we re-recorded that, and of course, as you know, the Christmas album turned into EMI took it and made it into a compilation Christmas album.
Exactly, for sure, with the snowmobile song and all that. Yes. So you must have some great stories to tell about your time on the road with Tom.
Oh, I do. When we were traveling, we would pull over every once in a while for something to eat, when we were traveling, because Tom didn't like a tour bus. We basically drove from one end of the country to back, and he was driving his own vehicle. He would drive himself most of the time, except for one time we hooked up with the band up in Thunder Bay.
Okay.
And Billy McKinnon and I drove with him up to Thunder Bay, but he liked driving himself. He said, it gives me time to think. Okay, well, that's what he did.
Yeah.
We had to go back and forth in the country that way. And we'd stop in for something to eat, but it would have to be an outdoor patio. And, of course, the boys would be thirsty and they'd want a beer, so then we'd order something to eat. When we were on tour, we would make sure that, because Tom wouldn't go somewhere if he couldn't smoke. So we'd go and we'd find an outdoor patio.
For sure.
They'd want to drink, because we've been traveling and something cool to drink. And so we'd order ours, and Tom would ask the waiter and say, "Have you got any room temperature beer?" First he'd ask, "Have you got any Moosehead?" And they'd say no. "Oh, have you got any? Have you got any room temperature that's sitting out, not in the cooler?" "No."
Oh, wow.
He'd say, "Well, I want a Molson Export, and just run that under the hot tap for about a minute."
So he never liked the Fairy Coat beer then?
No. Yeah, room temperature and 100 cigarettes a day.
Yes, okay, that's what I was wondering about. Tom smoked quite a bit. So how many would he roughly have smoked in a day?
Over 100.
Over 100, wow. So one right after the other, more or less.
Yeah, he was a chain smoker.
I see, yeah. So would that have been why he never came out to meet his fans after shows?
I don't know. There was only one show that we went to that we signed, like we did autographs, and that was 2006, and that was at Edmonton with the last time.
Oh wow, okay, yes. Because I met him 3 or 4, maybe 5 times, and he never came out to see us.
No, well, see what happens. He likes to talk. He likes having conversations with people. Like when we play Rama, he didn't really like Casino Rama. He liked the people there, I guess. I don't know, but he said, he'd have to do a thing where he'd have to sign autographs, but it would be one person talk about 3, about a minute or so, and then the next person and the next person. He didn't like that.
Yeah, I got a piece of audio I'll play with this interview. He says in it that he would have rather sat down with the person and talked to them than just an assembly line or whatever of autograph.
That's correct.
Just standing there signing an autograph, no. I don't enjoy that as much as I would if I had more time with each person individually to, shoot the guff with them for a couple of minutes each, or something like that. That would be better than to just like have an assembly line for autographs. This I don't really get any kick out of that, except for the fact that they want the autograph, and so I'm there to give it to them. But I would rather talk to them,
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that last time in the recording studio. Was there ever a sign that he was slowing down?
Yeah, he started slowing down. We did the last tour in 2011.
11, okay, that's when I seen him too, yes. He was sitting at a stool that night.
Yeah, and he started that in the 09 thing.
Okay.
But that was sitting down was just more of more like being in conversation with them, getting a little close to the audience. And yeah, he needed the rest a wee bit. That stool turned out to be a good thing because people thought he was sitting in their living room,
Exactly. Yes. One-on-one with them. Exactly.
Yeah, and he was kind of concerned about that because he said, people will come out to watch me stomp, and he said, I can't stomp like I used to, and but he did.
Yes,
and,
but not as much.
Yeah, it's not as much.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, that's I wouldn't worry about that, Tom. I told him that. I said, yeah, I wouldn't worry about that, Tom, because they're there, they're thinking that you're in their living room, and then as soon as he got the response, what he was getting from them songs, that was it.
It was adrenaline.
Yeah.
It made him go forward with his show or whatever.
Exactly.
You say you were also close to Tom during the later years of his life. Was there ever any talk of retirement?
There was never a talk of retirement. No, there was never a talk of retirement.
I see.
But he did record a whole pile of songs. That was what he wanted to do. We finished our summer tour, the last tour of 2011, and he immediately went into the recording studio and recorded a bunch of old country and western songs, like he did with the favorites, back in the. He wanted to do. He spent about 2 months, maybe 3 months in the studio, recording a whole bunch of old country and western standards, like he did back in the 70s, or the early 60s.
Yes, and the 60s greatest timeless classics or whatever, that box set. That
Exactly, and that's what he was doing. So he recorded, I don't know how many, maybe about 75 songs or so.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, EMI got released. Well, that EMI and then the other record company that's got him now, I think it's the same people now, then they released them songs and then added... they had different people backing them up and stuff, and Tom wouldn't be happy. But there is, I guess they're going to release them over the, years.
But let's hope that they do before all of us good fans are gone.
There's a pile of songs. I heard them all.
Because you played on them.
No, he just, it was just him and his flat top guitar, and he went in the studio by himself.
Oh, is that right? Okay, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Just him, like, acoustically, then.
Yep.
I see. Well, that'd be amazing to hear, for sure, yes.
Yeah, just him and his guitar.
I'll wrap up for now, but I'd love to do another follow-up interview with you, Al.
Sure.
But what song off the final sessions that you worked with Tom can I play for you?
How about the old, the Cannonball, the Rattling Cannonball?
Sounds good, Al, for sure. I'll get that on. And it was an old Welf Carter classic, originally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that, thank you for everything, and let's say happy heavenly birthday to Stompin' Tom Connors today.
We'll say happy birthday to Stompin' Tom.
Yes, and we'll crack open a moose head.
And have a moose head.
Exactly.
I'm not going to have a cigarette, but I'll have a moose head. Okay, Johnny, for sure.
Bye-bye.
Come gather round me, comrades, and listen while I tell about my good old rambling days. You may have heard some tell. First I was a hobo who claimed the Rambler's call, and I took my first wild rambling trip on the Rattling Cannonball. She always blew the whistle at every curve or hill. I always knew the signal by the whistle oh so shrill. The hobos love the rider, and you'd often hear them call. It's great to be aboard once more on the Rattling Cannonball. She travels through the valleys, down mountains she will roll. It seems the roar and rattle someday would take its toll. But years she's been a-running, and ne'er can I recall have I ever seen a smash up on the Rattling Cannonball. I said, boys, I traveled, and I took my first wild ride on the good old Rattling Cannonball and stuck right by her side. Today I am conductor, tell many a story tall, but I never put a hobo off the Rattling Cannonball. The rich man has a parlor with all its splendor grand. The hobo rides a boxcar, his home's in any land. If you want to travel in style, you can have them all. Just take a trip from coast to coast on the Rattling Cannonball. We're leaving old Vancouver, through mountains she will roll, way out across the prairie to North Ontario. All the way from Halifax, we're back in Montreal, returning to Vancouver on the Rattling Cannonball. Well, now I must get rolling to have her there on time. She's 60 cars from head to tail and running the old main line. All aboard, we're off, boys, hear the happy hobo call. We're heading for a good long trip on the rattling cannonball. We're heading for a good long trip on the rattling cannonball.
Well, now before we close out the second hour of the Wayback Country Jamboree's 89th anniversary birthday party to Stompin' Tom Connors, I would like to send out a very heartfelt and very special hello to a dear lady in the life of Stompin' Tom Connors. That is the lady he loved for 39 years at the time of his passing in 2013, none other than Mrs. Stompin' Tom, Lena Connors. With that, I would like to dedicate the song that Tom wrote for the wedding, which was held on live television on November 2nd, 1973, to a whopping 2 million viewers tuned into the 12-minute ceremony. It was also marked the first wedding of its kind ever on television in Canada. With that, we'll send this one out to Mrs. Stompin' Tom.
We're trading hearts today. We're going all the way, changing from yesterday to people apart. I love you come what may, this holy vow we say on this our wedding day. We're trading hearts. We're trading hearts today, knowing the world's okay, walking the same highway, never to part. And if the sky be gray, I'll take your hand and say, will you be mine today? We're trading hearts. We're trading hearts today. We're going all the way, changing from yesterday to people apart. And if the sky be gray, I'll take your hand and say, will you be mine today? We're trading hearts. Will you be mine today? 'Cause we're trading hearts.
Well, now, friends, as we close out this second hour of the Wayback Country Jamboree, I would like to welcome y'all to turn up your radios as we pay tribute to what I would like to class as the last two songs for the second hour, but also the closest songs that Tom ever did to gospel music. Of course, that is an all-time favorite titled The Story of Jesus, which appeared on his Christmas album. Merry Christmas, everybody. And then following that, I would like to play a audio clip from the television program that Tom had back in the 70s, and is a sung version of the Lord's Prayer. With that, we will be back following this on the other side of the third and final hour. I would also like to mention that a number of us would like to see the Stompin' Tom program that he did back in the 70s released from CBC archives, but if it ever happened, who knows. With that, here's Tom once again.
In a land so far away, so long ago, lived a boy with his parents meek and low. By miraculous birth, he came to this earth, the savior of this wicked world of woe. Now his mother was a pure and shining dove, and Joseph showed the boy his tender love. For an angel of light had appeared on that night proclaiming him the Son of God above. Now the first of many wonders to behold was when Mary couldn't find her 12-year-old. In the temple he was found, teaching wise men all around, as they marveled at the wisdom that he told. Soon the people from both near and far away came to hear the precious words he had to say. And when thousands wanted food, he fed the multitude with 5 loaves and 7 fishes on that day. Now he brought the dead to life in Galilee, where the deaf could hear and all the blind could see. And when all the dumb could talk, he taught the lame to walk, saying, "Now pick up your cross and follow me." Now it wasn't long before the final test. Betrayed by one of 12 he loved the best. And for 30 pence, we're told, the Son of God was sold, and upon the cross they put this man to death. As he died, he told the world they should not grieve, and he later showed them why they should believe. For he died to save all sins and came back to life again, and we celebrate his birth each Christmas Eve. We celebrate his birth on Christmas Eve.
Scott Woods, fiddle champion, and you are listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock and the Wayback Country Jamboree.
Well, yes, friends, following those classic Stompin' Tom Connors songs that I would class his closest to the gospel-related songs, we're back here on the Wayback Country Jamboree in Woodlock Ranch Studios in Cornwall, Ontario, where this program is also taped weekly. We are also coming to you via CFRC 1019 FM from the heart of downtown Kingston, Ontario, the limestone city of Canada. As I welcome you all back into the program this morning on this, what would have marked the 89th birthday of Charles Thomas Connors, forever remembered as Stompin' Tom Connors, I would like to remember his Christmas album titled Merry Christmas Everybody. With that shared, I would like to play the main title track off this and Merry Christmas Everybody, then follow that with another all-time favorite by Stompin' Tom, which was released on the same Christmas album titled Christmas Angel. So with that, I know it's not Christmas, but I do hope y'all enjoy these nonetheless. And you know, I've been very shocked over the years to find out that a lot of people don't even realize that Tom Connors had a Christmas album. So with that, welcome into the third and final hour, friends.
Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year too. May your holidays be merry and every wish come true. May you always be remembered by those so dear to you. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year all year through. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year all year through. Well, there's old Grandpappy, and he sure looks happy with Granny just a slapping her knees. There's old Aunt Mary with funny Uncle Harry, and they're trying to give the baby a squeeze. There's long-lost cousins, kiddies by the dozens, and they're gonna stay the whole day long. Get together now, friends and neighbors, sing a happy holiday song. Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year too. May your holidays be merry and every wish come true. May you always be remembered by those so dear to you. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year all year through. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year all year through. The turkey's on the table now, and when you're feeling able, you can take another helping if you will. But soon as you eat it, I'm afraid you gotta beat it, 'cause you gotta give the chair to Brother Bill. And hey, Uncle Marty, it's an all-night party, and don't you pour the drinks too strong. Get together now, friends and neighbors, sing a happy holiday song. Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year too. May your holidays be merry and every wish come true. May you always be remembered by those so dear to you. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year all year through. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year all year through. I get you on my mind every year at Christmas time as I trim every bough, branch and limb. But I don't want to see an angel on the tree till you're back in my arms once again. Christmas angel, I have named you since the day we first trimmed a Christmas tree. And I called it my love, and I placed up above a little angel where I wanted you to be. And I get you on my mind every year at Christmas time as I trim every bough, branch and limb. But I don't want to see an angel on the tree till you're back in my arms once again. Christmas angel, I have named you for the Christmas tree I'm holding in my heart. And I'm leaving a spot for your love on the top, Christmas angel, even though we're far apart. I get you on my mind every year at Christmas time, as I trim every bough, branch and limb. But I don't want to see an angel on the tree till you're back in my arms once again. I get you on my mind every year at Christmas time, as I trim every bough, branch and limb. But I don't want to see an angel on the tree till you're back in my arms once again. Till you're back in my arms once again.
Once again that time in the program where we like to pay tribute to the East Coast ballads of country music, keeping with the tradition of this Way Back Country Jamboree's 89th celebration to the life of none other than Stompin' Tom Connors. I would like to pay tribute to a trip we're going to take here on this morning's show to the Maritimes. Having been born in St. John's, New Brunswick, and growing up on a farm located on Skinner's Pond, Prince Edward Island, I would like to do a trip through the eastern coast of Canada. Today with a salute to the Maritimes. First, let's hear from New Brunswick and Mary. Then we'll cross over the bridge to PEI with a song called Song of the Irish Moss. And Stompin' Tom also recorded this song with the name Russell Albert in it. And that was his stepfather way down there in Skinner's Pond, PEI. Then we'll go back to Nova Scotia and hear an all-time favorite titled Sable Island, which is about the graveyard of the Great Atlantic Ocean, just off the coast of Nova Scotia. And we'll wrap up with none other than Margot's Cargo way out there on the rock of Newfoundland. So with that, I would like to say good morning to everybody listening in on the eastern seaboard, especially Peter and Myrna Trenholm in Pugwash, Nova Scotia. And just say good morning. Welcome in, friends.
I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary. I'll bet the salmon are all running now along the old Miramichi, and in Woodstock the potatoes will be doing fine. While away out west in the wheat fields, with Mary still in my heart, I've got far away New Brunswick in my mind. And I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary. I can see the cattle just coming home in Sussex where Mary lives, and I catch the glimpse of a moose in the lonesome pine. While away out west in the wheat fields, with Mary's love in my heart, I've got far away New Brunswick in my mind. And I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary. I get heart sick and blue for New Brunswick and you, since I left for the west and the prairie. And the stars up above know the two things I love are my home in New Brunswick and Mary. Down on old Prince Edward Island, when the winds are on the blow, and the ocean waters rolling through the reefs and rocks below. And the Irish moss comes drifting where the white-capped waters roar. With my scoop and my fork and my wagon and horse, I'll be heading on down the shore. With my scoop and my fork and my wagon and horse, I'll be heading on down the shore. On old Prince Edward Island, where the Irish moss is found, with bags and ropes and baskets, they come from miles around, crashing through the water, being careful not to fall, 'cause one good dash and a hell of a splash, you could lose your overalls. One good dash and a hell of a splash, you could lose your overalls. There's horses in the water and horses on the road, and here comes old Russell Elward, and he's hauling up another big load. And the party lines keep ringing, and the word keeps passing on. You can hear them roar from the Tignish shore, there's moss in Skinner's Pond. You can hear them roar from the Tignish shore, there's moss in Skinner's Pond. On old Prince Edward Island, there's one big hullabaloo. The boys and the girls and the old folks, they're gonna make a few bucks too. Getting wet to the neck in the ocean, where the waves all turn and toss. But it's a free-for-all and they're having a ball, they're bringing in the Irish moss. It's a free-for-all and they're having a ball, they're bringing in the Irish moss. Now the moss plant boys are waiting to pay so much a pound. And there goes a guy on horseback, and they both look damn near drowned. But all those smiling faces just mean one thing to me. For every man with a calloused hand, there's a blessing from the sea. For every man with a calloused hand, there's a blessing from the sea. There's an islander somewhere lonesome, 'cause he can't be home today, to have a little sip of the moonshine and haul another load away. In the land of the great potato, where the lobster feeds are wild, and we thank the boss for the Irish moss on old Prince Edward Isle. We thank the boss for the Irish moss down on old Prince Edward Isle. About 100 miles off the coast of my Nova Scotian home, there's an island with a tale of woe to tell. It's the graveyard of the old Atlantic Ocean, and they say it flies the phantom flag of hell. There's a demon down below the swirling waters, who has claimed the bones of about 10,000 men, who were shipwrecked on the shoals of Sable Island, and he left their dying voices on the wind. So sailor, take warning and pray every morning when it's your luck to sail on a dreary day. For Sable Island, more than any other island, has taken more ships and the lives of men away. It has taken more ships and the lives of men away. 500 wrecks can be found on the shores of Sable Isle, with their treasures unrecovered in the sand. They've been guarded by the herd of hungry horses and the ghostly apparitions of the land. Sable Island that defies a chart position, always moving with the old Atlantic tide, lies awaiting for some unsuspecting vessel, and the sands of hell to turn her on her side. So sailor, take warning and pray every morning when it's your luck to sail on a dreary day. For Sable Island, more than any other island, has taken more ships and the lives of men away. It has taken more ships and the lives of men away. Many hundred men through the years have been banished by their kings to the graveyard of the old Atlantic Sea, where they killed each other off to keep on living, until death itself could never set them free. They still walk among the wrecks of Sable Island, forever calling sailors to their doom. When the fog is thick, ahoy, there's a vessel on her journey to that land beyond the tomb. So sailor, take warning and pray every morning when it's your luck to sail on a dreary day. For Sable Island, more than any other island, has taken more ships and the lives of men away. It has taken more ships and the lives of men away. Have you heard the news in Newfoundland, rolling around the rock? How Reggie brought for Margie home a cowsy dungsy clock. With Margie being a farm girl, she almost took a fit to find the cowsy dungsy clock was really made of it. The clock was from Toronto and her mind was soon made up. She said to Reggie, get the cow and load her on the truck. We're heading for Ontario and we're off to make her big, 'cause Margot's got the cargo by and Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Margot's got the cargo by and Reggie's got the rig. Now they're rolling through the Maritimes, the truck was nearly full. The cow began to bawl, she was lonesome for the bull. The Mountie pulled him over, is there something I can do? Go right ahead, sir, Margie said, climb in the back and move. Now when they got to Montreal, they missed the auto route, but they found that everyone in town was glad to help them out. The sooner you hit Toronto, they said, the sooner you'll make her big, 'cause Margot got the cargo by and Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Margot's got the cargo by and Reggie's got the rig. Now the truck was overflowing when Toronto hit the rise. The 401 was full of dung and the cab was full of flies. We're losing lots of money, Reg, we can't afford to stop. We gotta find the place that makes the cowsy dungsy clock. Well, I wish you could have been there on the corner of Queen and Yonge, when Margot found the company and she dumped her load of dung. And when she found the office, she was singing and doing a jig. Margot's got the cargo buys and Reggie's got the rig. Reggie got the rig. Reggie got the rig. Margot brought the cargo buys and Reggie brought the rig. It was later in the evening when they heard from Mr. Judge. I don't know what they give yous, but I'll never hold a grudge. I think $1,000 would be fair to hand you down, and 30 days of lodging will be free upon the town. Now Margot says to Reggie, what a hell of a deal we struck. We might have lost a cow by, but still we got the truck. And now they're back in Newfoundland, they're loading up the pig, 'cause Margot got the cargo by and Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Reggie's got the rig. Margot's got the cargo by and Reggie's got the rig. Margot's got the cargo by and Reggie's got the rig.
With the Lord, you and me.
Hi friends, it's Peter Trenum from way down here in Nova Scotia. You're listening to my good friend Johnny Woodlock on the Wayback Country Jamboree on CFRC 101.9 FM.
To be ever with the Lord, you and me.
Well, yes, friends, it is once again time to welcome a very special third and final interview guest onto the Wayback Country Jamboree this morning on this, our celebration to our beloved king of Canadian country music, Stompin' Tom's 89th birthday celebration. Now, just because he is the last guest does not mean he's less important than any of the other guests on the Wayback Country Jamboree this morning. He is a longtime Stompin' Tom fan for years, also a true historian, fellow proud Canadian, who is keeping the legacy of Stompin' Tom alive and well in today's era through the Facebook page dedicated to Stompin' Tom Connors titled Stompin' Tom Connors Fan Club. That is on Facebook. Now, it's an honor to welcome Alan Dalton to our program this morning in this interview with Alan. Now, following this, we will play an all-time favorite that he asked me to play for his mother out there in Sault Ste. Marie, and it's from 1969 called Algoma Central 69. With that, here's a great friend of mine and a true friend to many Stompin' Tom fans through Facebook, Mr. Alan Dalton.
Thanks for having me, Johnny. How are you?
Very good, and it's a pleasure to be talking to you. How's everything down Prince Edward Island these days?
Oh, going pretty good. We're starting to get some real winter weather now.
Yes, for sure. So let's go into how you first got acquainted with his music.
As a kid, I guess. It was played around when I was really small, and as you can imagine, his music stood out among a lot of other people's because he was different.
Yes,
he wasn't unique. He wasn't like everybody else. So as a kid, he stood out to you, and he wasn't afraid to make a fool of himself sometimes. But he also made some pretty serious tunes there too. Like he wasn't just novelty kind of thing, but he made all kinds of music for everybody, and I think that's what made him.
He was the man of the land in many ways. Yes.
He appealed to so many people too.
Exactly.
And there was a chance he probably thumbed his way to your part of town, anywhere in Canada. So
that's right. And he wrote about your brother, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, whoever. Exactly. Yeah.
Somebody you knew along the way.
That's right. Exactly. That's right.
Made him so unique, right?
That's for sure. Yeah. So you're from Prince Edward Island. What is the reaction to him down there for those who have never been to the East Coast?
Well, I'm not from Prince Edward Island. My dad is. And my dad's family is. I'm originally from Ontario myself.
Okay.
But I live here now. But it was always seemed to be Tom was always more of a presence here on the island. Obviously because he spent some of his formative years here in Skinner's Pond, and and he did a lot of his early music work here in PEI. I was actually talking to a friend of my aunt's not long ago about JR's Bar, which he wrote about in a song once that was here in Charlottetown, and a lot of artists got their start there. Tom was given a chance to get a leg up there. Anne Murray was, John Allen Cameron, guys like that. So, I guess when they found someone who was a local islander, it was a real big deal.
And they gave them the publicity, exactly, yes.
Yeah, and when you write a song about the island, that became such a big hit, like Bud the Spud.
For sure,
It makes all islanders stand up and go, hey, that's us,
I also understand that you have an interesting proposition for the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I want to announce it kind of on your show. I want to see if there's a possible way to get Tom inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame for the hockey song, because I really think that song has done a lot for the sport. And it's played at a lot of hockey rinks across Canada and North America, from what I've heard.
Well, it's the national anthem for all hockey players, more or less. Yes.
And it's one of those songs that's just I've worked in hockey quite a bit over my life, and every time I've heard that song come on the loudspeaker, it just gets the crowd going. And and he's been asked to play it several times. I played it at the Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony when Gretzky went in.
Yes.
Okay. So things like that. And he's played it at the opening of the NHL awards. So I just think maybe he belongs in there, maybe under the Builders category.
Well, true. Yes, I never thought of that. I was wondering what category he would have fit into, but yeah, the Builders would be.
And I'm just thinking, I've talked to someone at the Hall of Fame, and I think the first thing you're supposed to do is get a petition.
Yes.
So if somewhere down the line when I try and get that going,
if there's anything we can do to help, we're on board for it.
That sounds great. You guys are very supportive of Canadian talent.
Well, we
Tom
try.
Especially. But yeah, I just think it'd be great to have that honor bestowed upon him for doing what he did, that song, doing what it's done for hockey over the years. And I just think it'd be great to see him hanging up on the wall with some of the other greats that are already there.
So you also live close to the Stompin' Tom Center down down in PEI?
A couple hours away.
Okay, a couple hours, okay.
We live in Charlottetown, which is about a couple hours, but we have some vacation land, which is about 20 minutes from Skinner's Pond,
I see.
where my father grew up.
Yeah.
So, we go up there sometimes for lunch. There's entertainment there every day from 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock. It really packs people in, and the museum's up there, and the schoolhouse that he went to. And
the schoolhouse is still there, is it?
Yes, yeah, and then you can go into you can go take a walk around the house that he actually lived in with his step-parents back then.
Yes.
So it's quite a spot, because for years it was boarded up and...
Exactly, that's what I remember was the boarded up schoolhouse. I never really was to the center before.
Yeah, if you get a chance, I highly recommend coming back and checking it out, and anyone else listening, if you're down here, make the trip up to the west end of the island to see it, because it really is it's nice to see something there for him, because he really did make the island what it was.
And he put it on the map in many ways.
Oh, he sure did. And the thing that always amazes me is, he was known for hitchhiking a lot. I still can't believe somebody got from there off the island just by hitchhiking.
Yes,
it amazes me. Mm-hmm. It truly does amaze me, because it's not an easy trip to get from Skinner's Pond down to where the bridge or where the boat was back at the time.
No, I remember about 2006 I went out there, and it's quite we never really got to Skinner's Pond on that trip because of how far it was from the bridge.
Yeah, it's not close. It's it's a beautiful drive, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's a beautiful spot, but it's nice to see the road going down to the harbor and the beautiful beach there. It's the Stompin' Tom Road, as it's called, and which is quite an honor, I would think, to have as well. But it really is worth the drive up there if you get the chance and you're down here for the summer. There's more to Prince Edward Island than Charlottetown and Cavendish, and so it's worth taking the drive out of your way to get up there, I think, anyway.
Now, you were also mentioning about keeping his legacy into the future. What can we do about that?
Well, I'm thinking, keep the hockey song alive, and, by maybe trying to see if we can get him into the Hall of Fame would be, even if he doesn't, maybe you'll get some attention for trying.
Yes, true.
I'm thinking to get another generation onto his music, maybe use it in TikTok videos, because I think young people get into music by hearing songs on TikTok a lot, reels on the internet, little things like that. Even if it's just a portion of a song, maybe somebody will hear it and go, who is that?
Exactly. Yes, like they have so many others of the legends.
Yeah, because it seems to me like his music is disappearing off the landscape a little bit, and I just like to see if we can keep it going.
I was talking to Duncan Frimlin. He's ahead of this interview during the first hour, and he was saying that there's a whole another decade of people that don't even know who Tom is, which is sad.
Yeah, and that's what I'd like to see if there's a way to do it. Your show obviously keeps doing that. There's another radio show based out of Charlottetown called the Saturday Night Hoedown, which has been playing old country music for 60 years on Saturday nights, and they'll play at least one Stompin' Tom song a week, so that kind of helps a little bit. Use it in a movie, use it in a TV episode or a commercial or a TikTok video. And that's what's overdue
too, is a movie on his life.
I think that would be a lot too. That would do quite a bit.
Or even a documentary.
A documentary would be fantastic, but I guess the tough thing is with every documentary is what angle do you take at it?
Exactly. Very true. Yeah, it's really.
And where do you get all the material? Because I don't know if you saw Tom Green just made one on his life recently, the comedian out of Ottawa.
No, I didn't know that.
It's on one of the streaming services, but anyway, how do you get access to all the stuff you really want? Yeah, it's hard to say. I guess you got to see, is there enough interest for it? But I think it would build a lot of interest if something like that came out.
So tell us a little bit about your interviews that you do on your YouTube channel.
It's about Canadian music. It's called Canadian Music in the 80s and 90s and more. I can, spread my wings a little bit and do stuff other than that. It started with my involvement with John Arsenault and the Stompin' Tom fan club. I was interviewing people that used to play with Tom.
Okay.
In his band over the years. I've become friends with Billy McInnes. He played fiddle with Tom for many years. And I just thought, why couldn't I branch out and do some stuff on my own, which I have. Because I know Duncan Fremlin pretty well too.
Yes.
And the Whiskey Jack
Very
fellas.
Good friend of mine, yes.
I thought, why can't I do some of this on my own? So I started doing some of my own stuff with Canadian artists and stuff like that. I've interviewed some that aren't Canadian, but are just doing things in Canada, stuff like that. I'm actually going to interview a comedian tomorrow night. So,
Oh, nice, very nice.
So that's kind of branching out a little bit, which I like to do once in a while.
Yes.
I'd like to get you on my podcast
Well,
as well,
that'd be nice too, Alan. Yeah.
because what you're doing is pretty rare in the radio industry, actually. I think it is, because I mean, you're doing a show and playing music that just doesn't get played anymore.
Well, that's true, very true. We're trying to keep the legends like Tom, different ones alive for sure. Yes.
Yeah, like you just don't hear this kind of music anymore.
No, we don't.
And it's missing. You know, it's where today's music came from. You know, if we don't keep that preserved and for people to hear, you know, I like seeing where stuff came from.
That's true, and how they got there and who they were and everything. Exactly. Yes.
I mean, you hear all these new country songs and they mention classic country artists, and I wonder if some of the kids these days even know who they're singing about.
It's very true, Alan. Yes, that's true. I never thought of it that way, but yes, it makes sense.
You know, like, I mean, everybody knows who the Johnny Cashes and the George Joneses are,
and
but
the
do
George
they know?
Strait,
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know if it's played around the kids the way it was when I was. Like, I mean, I knew who Jim Reeves was when I was 10 years old.
Exactly. We knew them before we even knew some of our own people, for sure.
Exactly. It was around me before I developed my own taste in music, and I still turn it up when I hear it today.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So tell us about working with John Arsenault and the fan club you guys have on Facebook there.
It's great. It really does. It gets you in touch with Tom's fans and realize there are quite a few of them out there. You know, you like hear it. It's great because we get them to post their stories about whether they've met Tom or their favorite songs, and they often post pictures of some of the collections of either CDs or record.
Exactly.
You know,
it's a fun place to be.
Yeah, it's fun to see some people post ticket stubs of shows that they've went to, and it really makes you remember, the impact Tom had when he was alive and doing his thing.
Like, I remember seeing him in Shawville, Quebec. There was 50,000 people.
Wow.
That was amazing. As far as the eye could see, you could see people.
The thing I always remembered, though, when I did see him in concert was the difference in age groups. Like, I mean, you'd see older people, you'd see people in their 20s and 30s, you'd see little kids, and they're all just, clapping along and enjoying the music. And that's kind of the thing I'd like to keep going, you know what I mean? See if we can keep it
generational.
If there's some kind of tribute show that travels, bring your kids to hear it, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I know Whiskey Jack and Duncan does one for sure, but yes.
Yeah, another dream of mine is to try and call together as many of Tom's ex-band members together and do a show at the Stompin Center sometime.
That'd be very amazing.
But I mean, I know logistically it's not easy to do, but I think that would be a big... Because who could play Tom's music better than people that played with him? You know, so, I mean, and there's a lot of great musicians in there, We had J.P. Cormier and Dave Gunning who played with him, Billy McInnes, Tim Hadley.
Al Widmeyer.
Yeah, exactly. Al Widmeyer's another guy who played with Tom for a long time. He's a very talented musician as well. True. It'd be great to see them all here on the island. And the other thing I've talked to Brian Edwards a couple of times, who used to be Tom's promoter when he came out of his self-imposed retirement. And I didn't realize how many people in the music industry in the States knew who Tom was.
For sure, for sure.
Like, he told me that little Jimmy Dickens always asked him how Stompin' Tom was doing whenever he was down in Nashville, which I had no idea.
That's amazing.
Apparently Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters is a huge Stompin' Tom fan.
Is that right? I see.
Yeah, which I never would have predicted. I wouldn't even think you would have known who he was.
I didn't realize he would be known down south.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. Yeah. And the other thing I was wondering is I saw about 2 weeks ago, Keith Urban did a surprise show at the Horseshoe Tavern.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been there before or recently.
No,
but
I haven't. I didn't know it was still in existence.
There's a big mural off to the side of the stage of Gord Downey and Stompin' Tom on there, and I'm wondering if Keith was looking over, wondering who they were, or maybe he did know who they were. I don't know.
Exactly.
So that always strikes me as I wonder if they knew who Tom was.
Yes.
That kind of thing. So, but I assume a lot of people in the industry probably knew who he was.
So in closing today, tell us what song you would like me to play of Tom's for his 89th birthday.
Well, last year I asked you to play the Song of the Irish Moss because my dad was raised up in that part of PEI where Tom was.
Yes.
And I'd like to do something for my mother, if it's okay with you. She was born in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario.
Sure.
So I was hoping maybe you could play Algoma Central 69 for my mom.
One of my favorites, yes. We'll get that on for you. Yeah.
That sounds great. That's awesome. I really appreciate that.
Well, sounds good, Alan. And keep on stomping and keep on the maple leaf flying high.
Will do. And you will too. I'm sure you will.
I sure will, yes. God bless you, Alan, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care, John.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
She's on a bar hopping spree back in Sault Ste. Marie. Because of me, she's now a fallen star. She could have been true, but I left her in the Sioux, and I traveled north upon the ACR. But if it's go home or be a roamer, I've made up my mind. So take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69. I was working one day when I heard this fella say he met my girl while drinking at the bar. Though we fought between us two, still he swore that it was true. Now I curse that day I rode the ACR. But if it's go home or be a roamer, I've made up my mind. So take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69. Though it might be in vain, here I wait for the train. I hope it's not too late to right the wrong. When she rolls around the bend, we'll be southbound again. Come on, old ACR wheels, move along. She's on a bar hopping spree back in Sault Ste. Marie. Because of me, she's now a fallen star. She could have been true, but I left her in the Sioux, and I traveled north upon the ACR. But if it's go home or be a roamer, I've made up my mind. So take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69. Take me home tonight, Algoma Central 69.
Now, friends, I do hope y'all enjoyed that interview with Alan. And following that, we will play the all-time national anthem of every hockey player this side of the border. And that is none other than the Hockey Song by Stompin' Tom Connors. Dedicated to all the hockey players, past and present, of Canada. And especially to those in the Hockey Hall of Fame. It would be an honor to see him and the Hockey Song inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame of Canada. But if it ever happens, who knows? But in the meantime, here's this song that gave Stompin' Tom great fame through Hockey Night in Canada. None other than the Hockey Song. Welcome in, friends.
Hello out there, we're on the air. It's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Second period, where players dash with skates aflash. The home team trails behind, but they grab the puck and go bursting up, and they're down across the line. They storm the crease like bumblebees. They travel like a burning flame. We see them slide the puck inside. It's a 1-1 hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Third period, last game in the playoffs too. Oh, take me where the hockey players face off down the rink, and the Stanley Cup is all filled up for the champs who win the drink. Now the final flick of a hockey stick and a one gigantic scream. The puck is in, the home team wins the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Well, yes, friends, there's a lot of songs that we gotta fit into the program, but with there only being about half hour left of this program, how do I fit them all in? With that mentioned, I would like to pay tribute to another song that we had a lot of requests for through the Facebook page, and that is none other than Big Joe Mufferaw. Now, from 2009, I would like to play a live version of this classic by Stompin' Tom. So let's turn back the years and remember this off the old DVD and program that he recorded live back in 2009, titled Stompin' Tom Connor's Live in Concert.
We got to get back to talking a little bit about some more Canadianism, all that wonderful stuff that's going on in Ottawa these days. What we need in Ottawa is what we used to have back in the old days. A fella lived about 140 years ago was too damn bad he ain't living now. Heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. Big Joe Mufferaw paddled in the Mattawa all the way from Ottawa in just one day. Hey, hey. On the river Ottawa, the best man we ever saw was Big Joe Mufferaw, the old folks say. Come and listen and I'll tell you what the old folks say. Daddy say Big Joe had an old pet frog, bigger than a horse and he barked like a dog. And the only thing quicker than a train upon a track was Big Joe riding on the bullfrog's back. Heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. They say Big Joe used to get real wet from cutting down timber and working up the sweat. And everyone will tell you around Carleton Place the Mississippi dripped off of Big Joe's face. Heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. Joe had the portage from the Gatineau down to see a little girl he had in Kempville town. He was back and forth so many times to see that gal, the path he wore became the Rideau Canal. Heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. Big Joe Mufferaw paddled in the Mattawa all the way from Ottawa in just one day. On the river Ottawa, the best man we ever saw was Big Joe Mufferaw, the old folks say. Come and listen and I'll tell you what the old folks say. They say Big Joe put out a forest fire halfway between Renfrew and Old Iron Prior. He was 50 miles away down around Smith Falls, but he drowned out the fire with 5 spitballs. Heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. Now there's all kinds of tall tales about Big Joe. Get this one. He jumped in the Calabogie Lake real fast. He swam both ways to catch a cross-eyed bass. But he threw it on the ground, said I can't eat that, so he covered her over with Mount St. Pat. Heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. Daddy say Big Joe drank a bucket of gin and then he beat the living tar out of 29 men. High on the ceiling of a Pembroke pub, there's 29 boot marks and they're slain with love. Heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. Big Joe Mufferaw paddled in the Mattawa all the way from Ottawa in just one day. On the river Ottawa, the best man we ever saw was Big Joe Mufferaw, the old folks say. Come and listen and I'll tell you what the old folks say. They say, heave, hi, ho, the best man in Ottawa was Mufferaw Joe. Mufferaw Joe. Big Joe Mufferaw, Big Joe Mufferaw, Big Joe Mufferaw, Big Joe Mufferaw.
Well, yes, friends, as we come up on the last couple of songs of the Jamboree this morning, I would like to pay tribute to a song which came out way back in 2008, which tells the story and song, the life and the career of Stompin' Tom Connors, none other than a song, well, simply titled The Ballad of Stompin' Tom. So with that, here's the later recording from that final sessions of Tom's musical career and path. We'll be back following this, play one final song, and then we'll be headed all home.
I was born in old St. John, New Brunswick by the sea. Back in 1936, it was just my mom and me. And as she wandered through the land, shunned by family, she often had to beg for bread while I was only 3. She taught me to hitchhike and to face the road alone, and sing about what life was like for those that had no home. Holy, holy, holy. Well, I turned 4 in Halifax, 5 in Montreal, and every small town in between, by 6 I knew them all. And when the long road took us back to St. John, Mama cried. That night the strong arm of the law tore me from her side. And they made me an orphan and taught me not to roam, just cry myself to sleep at night and not be a rolling stone. Holy, holy, holy. By the time that I turned 8, they said that I was cured from all that wanderlust to which I had been lured. And just in case my mum would try to find out where I'd gone, they shipped me off to PEI to a farm in Skinner's Pond. And though I love the country I called this island home, I'd sing about what life was like with a mother's love unknown. Holy, holy, holy. When I was 13 years of age, I couldn't take no more. I ran away from home one day and left my island shore. And while the Mounties everywhere were looking for their man, on a merchant ship from old St. John I sailed for Newfoundland. And away out on the Grand Banks, the truth came like a knife. A drifter I would always be upon the roads of life. Holy, holy, holy. Before the age of 17 I seen this country wide. An old guitar I'd gladly play, and I'd thank you for the ride. And many a conversations had through my journey long, they wound up in my repertoire of Canadian country songs. And everywhere I traveled, I dreamed along the way, God might make this vagabond a country star someday. Holy, holy, holy. Then one night in Timmins Town, North Ontario, they said if you can sing, we'll keep you round for a week or so. I packed the place for 14 months, and before they let me go, I'm driving a car, I got a new guitar, and I'm singing on the radio. From there, this old hitchhiker, he was on his road to fame, with Bud the Spud from the bright red mud and the good old hockey game. Holy, holy, holy. Then came Sudbury Saturday night at the Gumboot Cloggeroo. They made me the chairman of the board till I stomped the hole right through. And like old Luke with his old guitar, my song wasn't over yet, till I sang the ode that I wrote for the road and the mum that I can't forget. And when the party was over, I began to write this song, and tonight you've heard me sing the words to the ballad of Stompin' Tom. Tonight you've heard me sing the words to the ballad of Stompin' Tom. Oodly, oodly, oodly.
Well, yes, friends, it is once again that time in the program to play the very last selection of songs for the Way Back Country Jamboree for this, the 89th birthday of none other than Stompin' Tom Connors, Canada's Country King. With that, the year was 2011 that he brought out his final recordings, and off of this album, titled The Roads of Life, there was a song that I would like to dedicate to all our war veterans, both past and present, and that is none other than the Flanders Field song. With that, I'd like to say that we'll be back following this Send Us All Home. Welcome in, friends, and good morning.
In Flanders fields where poppies grow, between the crosses, row on row, our graves are marked as here we lie, out where the larks still bravely singing fly, yet scarcely heard amid the guns below. In Flanders fields where the poppies grow, in Flanders fields not long ago, we felt the dawnings and the sunset's glow. We lived and loved, and with great pride we left our homes and then for freedom died. But are we dead? Do you answer no? In Flanders fields where poppies grow, in Flanders fields we fought our foe, and from our hands now the torch we throw, and as it burns, please hold it high, for if you break the faith with us who died, we shall not sleep, though fair winds blow. In Flanders fields where poppies grow, we shall not sleep, though fair winds blow. In Flanders fields where the poppies grow.
And that, friends, is a wrap on the Way Back Country Jamboree Morning Show. And as we say so long from the Way Back Country Jamboree, I would like to play now, in the words of Stompin' Tom Connors, the way he would like to be remembered, in his own words.
What would I want to be remembered as? I think somebody who just wrote a song about what he's seen and what he experienced and what he knew at the time that was happening.
Well, yes, friends, we have officially come to the end of another Way Back Country Sunday morning here at the Way Back Country Jamboree. Following those words by Stompin' Tom Connors, I would like to wish him once again a happy 89th birthday up there in heaven. As we celebrated a man who was so much more than just an everyday man, he was in many ways the most patriotic and dedicated Canadian to ever have graced this country country, stage, or radio, or in many ways our lives in Canada. Now, Stompin' Tom passed away at the age of 77 on March 6th, 2013. In many ways, it came without warning to many except for those closest to him. With that said, I like to pay tribute to Stompin' Tom the way he wanted to be remembered, and that was through a song titled I Am the Wind. Before Tom also passed away, he penned a letter to all his fans that said, I must now pass on the torch to all of you to help keep the maple leaf flying high and be the patriot Canada needs now and in the future. I humbly thank you one last time for allowing me into your homes. I hope I continue to bring a little bit of cheer into lives from the work I have done. Sincerely your friend, always Stompin' Tom Connors. Yes, that was the way we said goodbye to Tom almost 12 years ago this coming March. As we say so long for this morning, I would like to play the song that he always wanted to be remembered by and is engraved on his tombstone in Erin, Ontario, none other than I Am the Wind. Then we'll follow with a song that was one that was played at his funeral in Peterborough, Ontario in 2013 by Mike Plum, and a tribute song titled Goodbye Stompin' Tom. With that, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the program this morning. Say God bless each and every one of you, and we'll catch y'all next weekend, same great time, same great place. Over CFRC 1019 FM, 8 to 11. So long, friends. And yes, Tom, we still miss and need you, especially nowadays. So long.
Canadians are mourning the loss of a music legend. Stompin' Tom Connors died yesterday at the age of 77. He didn't need any prompting to produce Canadian content. He wrote and sang about Canada because he loved Canada.
I am the wind, I am the wind, without foe, without friend. I have no home, no cares to tend, all alone. I am the wind, I am the wind, I am the wind. Where I go is where I've been. I'm here today and gone again. On my way, I am the wind, I am the wind, lazy wind, gentle breeze in Lover's Glen, in the awesome tales of fishermen, testing sails. I am the wind, I am the wind, contrary wind, here to serve my Maker's end. I don't believe I've ever sinned. I only know I am the wind, I am the wind, swirling wind, stripping trees at summer's end. But I'm the song of spring again. Right or wrong, I am the wind, I am the wind, eternal wind, around the door between gods and men. And if you see how I go in, you'll have the key and know the wind. You'll have the key, my friend, to know the wind.
So long, Stompin' Tom, I can't believe you're gone. So long, Stompin' Tom, but at least we've got your songs. Like Bud the Spud from the bright red mud and the gumboot cloggeroo. So long, Stompin' Tom, may God take care of you. Me and my wife and kids, we all sing along. Driving around Moncton town, singing the hockey song. We were tootin' at it and we was at it and to it until we tuned our attitude in. So long, Stompin' Tom, until we meet again. Well, so long, Stompin' Tom, I can't believe you're gone. So long, Stompin' Tom, but at least we've got your songs. Like Margot's got the Cargo Bay and the old Muckaluck shoe. So long, Stompin' Tom, may God take care of you. So many people I've not met, but yet I know by name. Like poor old Ben down in the pen and that gal Red River Jane. Or Potato and Tomato driving to Windsor in their car. And see walking past the pawn shop is Luke with his guitar. Well, so long, Stompin' Tom, I can't believe you're gone. So long, Stompin' Tom, but at least we've got your songs. Like the TTC Skedaddler and Goodbye Rubberhead too. So long, Stompin' Tom, may God take care of you. Well, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, they're all hanging on every word. While you're singing songs of Saskatchewan and tobacco from Tillsonburg. A million drunken angels are singing with you tonight. And when you see my mom down in the front row, could you tell her I'm doing alright? And so long, Stompin' Tom, I can't believe you're gone. So long, Stompin' Tom, but at least we've got your songs. Like Big Joe Mufferaw and Sudbury Saturday Night. So long, Stompin' Tom, may you rest in peace tonight. So long, Stompin' Tom, may you rest in peace tonight.
His songs spoke to common people about things they love and understand, like ketchup, potatoes, and tobacco picking, and the struggles of the everyday man. His memory will live on forever through the messages in the songs that he sang, in his wife and sons and daughters, and through the millions of his fans. Canada is so much a better place because of Stompin' Tom, the legend, the man.